All right, good evening, everyone. Due to COVID-19 pandemic emergency, we have to handle the city meeting differently what we usually handle due to the safety of our staff, safety of the council, and safety of the public. So I would like to ask our city manager give us a brief description to explain to the public regarding the meeting. Mr.
Yes,
Hagler.
thank you. I'm sorry, I'm unprepared. I didn't bring that item up on my screen here, so I'm getting it very quickly. I apologize for that.
While you're waiting, can I test my sound?
Yes.
Great.
We can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. This meeting of the Galt City Council is being conducted by teleconference video conference in compliance with state and county stay-at-home orders and as allowed by the governor's executive order N29-20, which allows for deviation of teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. Members of the public will see council members and city staff who are appearing via remote video or telephone connections. City council meetings will be held by teleconference or video conference only until further notice. Today's agenda states that rather than attending in person, residents can submit written public comments via email to pubcom, that's PUBCOM, at cityofgalt.org prior to the council meeting. Any written comments that were received prior to 5:30 p.m. today will be read out loud during the council meeting by the city clerk on the appropriate agenda item, subject to the customary 5-minute time limit. We will try to check the email for additional public comments during the meeting if feasible, and we are looking at ways to expand options for public comment at future meetings. And that's the statement.
Thank you. Agenda item A, call the meeting in order. Tina, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano.
Here.
Councilmember Farmer.
Here.
Councilmember Campion.
Here.
Councilmember Lamson. Here. Mayor Sandu.
Here. Please rise for silent prayer and flag salute. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Tina, may I have a replay statement, please?
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communication and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed caption and webcast at www.metrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air Friday, May 22nd at 9 a.m. and Saturday, May 23rd at 9 a.m. A DVD copy is available for checkout from any library branch.
Thank you. Next agenda item B, council any agenda approval, addition or deletion.
I am actually going to pull the minutes to revise and we'll present them at the next city council meeting.
So you're going to pull F1, right?
Correct.
Thank you. You know, the next agenda item is presentation. There is no presentation. Next agenda item is D, public comment.
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the City Council on non-agenda items. The public comment section is for the City Council to receive comments. Except for brief responses to questions, no discussion or action may be taken on any item that is not listed on the agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Due to the statewide emergency and social distancing guidelines, public comments may be submitted via email to pubcom@cityofgalt.org and will be read out loud, subject to the customary 5-minute time limitation.
Thank you. Dina, any public comment came through?
Yes,
email?
we have quite a few, so I will get started. Okay, the first one is from Sharon James. Dear City of Galt leaders, we need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financial recover. We will be a city with bankrupt business owners and empty buildings. You were elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Please listen to the people. The next one is from Leanne Carrillo, Parker Realty. I would like to formally request that the city take action in naming the City of Galt as a sanctuary city for businesses. This has already been done successfully in the city of Atwater. It will allow small businesses to reopen with precautions in place, just as the large stores have been doing all along. If this continues much longer, I'm afraid the real estate market will once again take a major hit on values, and that will affect all of us. I truly believe if people were able to get back to work soon, we can recover and come back even stronger. If this lockdown continues, I fear for the mental health of adults as well as that of the children. Please consider this for this wonderful city. We're counting on you. Next one is from Lori Lindberger. City Council, we need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small, already struggling community. A one-size-fits-all approach does not make sense for our small town. Next one is from Randy Morton, Galt Fitness Pro. Fitness studios have been given permission by county health officer to reopen in Elk Grove with permission. I have read their standards. At Fitness Pro, we are prepared to exceed their standards in Galt, and we have had many less cases than Elk Grove of COVID-19 with 0 deaths. I am asking we do the same for Galt businesses and fitness studios in Galt. Next one is from Rita Rabin. Please consider making Galt a sanctuary city. We need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and 0 deaths. I am pretty sure myself, along with many people I deal with, has already had. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts them another day to closing permanently. I believe every job is essential, not just the big corporations who have been allowed to stay open. They are essential, maybe not as far as food goes, but they are essential because they are providing for their families. Galt already has a budget problem, and the fallout of businesses not being open intensifies it. Not only are they not spending, but neither are their employees. I can not help but think the loss of revenue from them will put our wonderful town in further debt. Businesses are very innovative and resourceful, and I have my full confidence that they can open safely. We are not a big city and should, as such, not be treated like one. As our elected officials, I would hope you would take a stand and open our wonderful city before there's nothing left. Please make Galt, I think it's a sanctuary city like Atwater. Stand up for your little city. The next one is from Melissa Snow, Parker Realty. In the wake of the stay-at-home order from our governor, several families are out of work and do not have the finances to be out of work much longer. This stay-at-home order is affecting our economy in Galt. Other cities are allowing people to sit down to eat at restaurants, shop at non-essential stores, getting a haircut, going to the gym, and having gatherings. By our city not allowing these same opportunities, it is taking money that would be spent in our own town out to other towns. If we do not start opening up our businesses, we are just putting our small town business owners in more jeopardy of shutting their doors due to lack of revenue. It is time to lift the stay-at-home order and get back to working before our town loses its businesses. It is not healthy for people to be locked up in their homes without having fresh air in their lungs. It has been proven that wearing a mask for long periods of time is unhealthy. These stores that are making these employees wear masks is putting them in a bad health situation. My own daughter must wear a mask at work all day, and now her asthma is out of control. She will probably be put on leave because she cannot wear a mask anymore at the advice of her doctor. Please help our business owners, employees, and the whole community get back to living and being healthy. There may have been a time when the stay-at-home order was valuable to the community, but no longer. It is important that we get back to work and support each other. Next one is from Barbara Greer. Hello, please consider allowing the businesses in Galt to open. Many businesses are still paying their rent and other expenses while trying to survive with takeout, and it's just not enough. Business owners have invested their life savings and dreams into their businesses. Along with providing jobs for our community, they also provide a tax base for income to the city. We shouldn't be lumped in with Sacramento County. There have only been 13 COVID cases, and that number hadn't changed for 3 weeks. Give the business owners the opportunity to manage their own business and safety for themselves and their customers. We don't want Galt to be a ghost town. Next is Carrie Montgomery. Dear City Council, I emailed each council member on April 23rd, 2020, stating my concerns about Galt businesses being closed and the serious long-term economic repercussions the lack of revenue and sales tax would have on our community. Here we are nearly a month later, and the majority of Galt businesses are still closed. I find it ridiculous that Walmart can be open, yet small businesses are still shuttered. Has the city calculated how much money they have lost since the shutdown began? Galt has 13 confirmed cases of COVID and 0 COVID deaths. By now, it is clear that this shutdown has nothing to do with public safety. An individual's health includes physical, social, emotional, and economic safety. Galt business owners have poured their time, hard work, dreams, and savings into their businesses. Most businesses can't afford to stay closed for another month, week, or even a few more days. I urge you to immediately take action to fully open all Galt businesses. The community would applaud and greatly benefit from this much needed action. Next is from Adriana Mello. To whom it may concern, we need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small community. We are ready to safely open. One-size-fits-all approach does not make sense for our small town. You are elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Listen to the people. Next is Michelle Keel. It is time to reopen 100%. Our small town is dying. We have met every single government condition to reopen. We need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small community. We are ready to safely open. One-size-fits-all approach does not make sense for our small town. You are elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Listen to the people. Let's rise up and be a shining light. Let's show the other towns it's okay to work. Atwater did it. Let's do it too. Have some grit. Let's do this. Next is Craig Campbell. It's time to be the leaders that you were elected to be. You are elected to be our voice, and we, the people of Galt, want to see Galt prosper. It cannot do that under these dictatorship-like conditions issued by a governor who he himself doesn't obey, big companies will survive, little ones, the very ones the city prides itself on, will not. It's also bigger than just a small business. Everyone that his panic has affected no big brother isn't going to swoop in here with an open wallet and say, here, have some money so you can keep your business going, your family fed, and the roof over your head. It's ludicrous to even think that even if the federal government could come in with funds, that'll be anytime soon. This needs to be done at a local level for a quicker result. Don't let your failure to act result in people, your very own neighbors, lose their houses, their business, their livelihoods, or everything they've worked for. You were elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to listen to the people. This one is from Alexandra Toledo. Please open our city for business. We have flattened the curve. Our local hospitals were not overwhelmed. We have had no COVID-19 deaths in our city. It is time to move forward. Please let our businesses open so they can stay in business and remain a part of our community. We can do so safely and save our town from losing our sales tax base and many great people. I miss the simple things in life like getting my haircut, eating at a restaurant with my family, or sitting at the park. Please stand up for us. It is worth it. Next is Melissa Pruitt. To the Galt City Council regarding the reopening of businesses in the city of Galt. With a city of our size and only a handful of confirmed cases, which have resulted in 0 deaths, I see no reason why every business in Galt should not be able to reopen. If our local Walmart is allowed to be open during the whole lockdown and we've only had a handful of cases, I do not see why the restaurants, gyms, hair salons, and all businesses should still remain closed after 3 months of this lockdown. At this point, none of this makes sense whatsoever, besides the fact of it having catastrophic economical downfall of our town. Please, City Council members, hear the citizens' voices very loud and clear. We want our town to reopen fully. Next is Amy Ferris, Fitness Director, Fitness Pro. Hello, we hope this letter finds you well. Our gym has served the people of Galt for 28 years. We are a small business, and this closure has impacted our business drastically, as we know it has for many others as well. With news that some local fitness studios are being allowed to open with strict guidelines, it has given us some new ideas as a possible way to reopen a portion of our facility. We are thinking along the lines of opening up the fitness studio portion of our gym. Our building hosts a massive 17,000 square feet of space. The room that holds classes is 6,000 square feet. If the guidelines will still require 250 square feet of space per individual, this would allow us to hold classes with a safe capacity for 24 of our members with ample space. The ideas that we have that would allow us, in our opinion, to safely conduct these classes in our studio is as follows. Completely contactless class sign up, all online for a maximum of 24 members. Members will line up outside our building in the parking lot along socially distanced ground marks and wait for access doors to be open. The large classroom holds 2 sets of double doors on either end of the large building. Members could enter through one set and exit out of the other set of doors after class. They will have a pre-marked space in class. We can have a hand sanitizing station available at the entry and exit. We will limit any equipment use in classes to only items that can be sanitized before and after classes and used by one individual member. Certain items that are easily brought from home, like mats and resistant bands, will be required of members signing up for classes. Our large classroom is completely closed off from the rest of the gym, and we will keep it that way, not allowing members to leave the classroom area into the other section for any reason. The doors that enter the rest of the gym will remain locked. Members will be asked to use the restroom at home prior to arrival and informed no restrooms will be open for their use. All our members have digital files and we can easily track who has been in classes for health tracking. We are open to other requirements you would have and to adjusting this list to match whatever will be required if it is feasible for us to do so. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Next is Ryan Montgomery. My name is Ryan Montgomery, and I've been a Galt resident since 2008. I chose Galt because I love the small town feel and the community that came with that. My wife and I have raised a family here. The time has come to reopen Galt. Enough is enough. Galt has 13 COVID cases and 0 deaths. It is painfully obvious that this shutdown has very little to do with safety. Our small business remains shut and are going under one by one. This sickens me. But Walmart and Raley's are open. This makes 0 sense. In fact, it's hypocritical on your part to allow such an arrangement. The residents of Galt are watching how you approach this very carefully. Sorry, I lost my. The residents of Galt are watching how you approach this very carefully. I can't vote for council members that are not looking into our community and are resorting to cover my behind tactics. This time to act has come, and those that fail to do so will be remembered when it comes time to run for re-election. I will personally do all I can to see that these city council members are not re-elected. To keep Galt shut like this is irresponsible and cowardly. Your community is hurting. Show your community that you actually care. Enough cover my behind policies. Give the residents a choice. Those that want to remain indoors can do so, but those of us that don't should be allowed to do so. Open Galt now. Next is from Veronica Van Dyke. My name is Veronica Van Dyke. I am a local real estate agent and fellow citizen of Galt. I am usually not vocal politically. However, I feel it is imperative that we open our city and allow small business to resume providing services. While it may not be the position of the governor to open, we are a small town with very few cases of COVID-19 and our businesses are crumbling. There is no cure, vaccine, or end in sight for this disease. It will not be eradicated or gone anytime soon. Our business cannot continue to wait in limbo, hoping for something to be done with our small population. We are very fortunate to have the businesses that we have. It would be financially irresponsible to continue down this path. I ask you to please safely open our city. Next is from Kathy Bowbrow. My name is Kathy Bowbrow, and I have been a homeowner in Galt for 30 years. I am writing to ask you do everything within your power to allow our businesses to open. With approximately 30,000 residents and only 12 cases and 0 deaths from COVID-19, COVID-19 is a non-issue. Our city had financial issues prior to this stay in place, and the longer we remain closed, the more issues we are going to have. Next is from Kelly, no last name. I am happy we will be moving into phase 2 this weekend. I urge you to consider the other small businesses to be open. I commend you all for putting lives ahead of dollars during this time. The numbers in Galt doesn't show we are at much risk for reopening like other places in the state or country. Several businesses did not qualify for the PPP program and are draining their life savings to hang on. Thank you for your consideration. Next is Lori Lynn Goodnight Weir. We live in Sacramento County, but we are a small rural area and not the big city of Sacramento. We've only had 13 C19 cases and no deaths in humans by the virus, but we may have deaths of businesses and the livelihood of our local families. We need to reopen Galt and get back to business. We are hardworking Americans and more than ready to pull our bootstraps up. Cindy Faith, I apologize if I get any names wrong. If Atwater got away with it, Galt for sure qualifies. Be careful if it doesn't bite you in the tail if the federal government cuts funds to those that claim this. Good luck. Next is Pamela Deans. I have been a resident of Galt for the past 13 years. I love this community and the schools and businesses that are part of it. I urge you to reopen the city immediately. The economic toll this shutdown is taking has done far more damage than COVID has done. Continued shutdown would lead to further financial burden and take a greater toll on the mental health and well-being of this community. These small business owners are our friends and neighbors. They deserve to be supported and allowed to open as they see fit. It is time for the city of Galt to stand up for its residents, hear our voices, and do what is right. I urge you to open Galt now. Next is from Tony Del Grande, Parker Realty. With all concerns about COVID-19, I would ask that you allow businesses to open up in Galt. Galt should be opened up because we have had no deaths to my knowledge and only low cases with the COVID-19 cases. That is less than the common cold stats. Businesses will only suffer more if we do not open back to the public. Please consider reopening. Next is from Andrew Woodward. It is time to reopen Galt. The businesses are going broke, families need to pay rent, and we need to get back to normal, or the new normal of social interactions. We had 13 cases and no deaths, even with people from other areas coming to stores and gas stations. People want to start supporting our businesses. They are not going to get a lot of money from the feds to help. Next is Jennifer Batondo. I am emailing regarding my continuing concerns about Galt businesses that are still closed and the serious long-term economic repercussions the lack of revenue and sales tax will continue to have on our rural community. I find it utterly ridiculous that small businesses are still shuttered while the big box store in town has continued business as usual. We are not Sacramento. Governing our city like it or under the same rules is careless and destructive. Galt has 12 confirmed cases at my last check of COVID and 0 COVID deaths. By now, it is clear that this shutdown has nothing to do with public safety. An individual's health includes all health, physical, social, emotional, and economic safety. Galt small business owners have poured their time, hard work, and savings into their local businesses. Most businesses can't afford to stay closed for another month, week, or even a few more days. I urge you to immediately take action to fully open all Galt businesses with no restrictions of any kind. The community would applaud and greatly benefit and needs it before our local economy is completely destroyed. Next is Nicole Schwedhelm. I am currently a senior at Liberty Ranch High School who has been very active in club sports and AP classes. This year, the rug was swept out from under me along with 500 other seniors in our district. I have not seen my best friends in 2.5 months. I have not seen my amazing teachers in 2.5 months, and my life has been thrown into a garbage disposal for 2.5 months. Everything that I've worked for in the past 12 years and everything that everyone has told me to look forward to is gone. Disneyland, visiting our elementary schools, which formed us, and most importantly, graduation have all been revoked to no fault of our own. AP tests have been a train wreck, including cheating, submission issues, and more, which may result in the invalidation of all tests. In addition to that, many colleges in California are now conforming their curriculum to an online platform for the fall semester, another stressor and depressor for the many students attending college in the state. The seniors in Galt are usually lively and excited to learn new things. They are humorous, caring, and empathetic. However, in the past 2.5 months after having their lives canceled, many have found little motivation to do schoolwork or care for their mental, physical health. I understand many things are out of control and we will not be able to get everything back. However, by making a swift move to make Galt a sanctuary city for businesses, the young adults like myself who are getting ready to leave this great town and possibly never return will be able to find a sense of home, love, and support one last time for them and their future. By opening businesses while using the appropriate precautions, seniors may get their last chance to have lunch with their best friend, take their mom out to her favorite restaurant, or celebrate her little sibling's birthday party. I also fear for my younger peers and my little siblings. If we don't begin opening our city now, when will we? July, perhaps August? I believe this is the first step to getting things back to normal. Will my brother have to experience his first year of high school online as well? Will my close friend and teammate have her senior year of basketball canceled? Will the juniors right now be able to play sports, participate in clubs, and take their challenging AP classes next year? These are all questions and concerns which can be addressed by you should you choose to accept the challenge of reopening Galt as a sanctuary city. Thank you for your time and consideration. Next is Karen Elliott. I'm urging you not to recklessly declare our city a sanctuary for opening businesses. We are sandwiched between Elk Grove and Lodi. Both cities have higher rates of illness, and people will cross over the city limits if they know they can obtain services in Galt that aren't available in their cities. Remember, our closest hospital is Lodi. Do we really want to challenge that hospital's ability to care for an upsurge that could result from this? Follow the recommendations that are in place. Please do not let a few very verbal people bully you into putting the general citizenry at risk. Next is Kirk Smith, Velvet Grill and Creamery. Sanctuary cities, safe spaces. It's time for Galt get in with the times. Only this isn't about snowflake college students or wanting to provide refuge for those undocumented. I believe Galt should declare its independence from the crushing, over-regulating governor. Enough is enough. We all know the numbers, crazy data, and so-called science. It is time to get our economic engine revving again. Next is Elena Crandall. Please consider opening Galt. We've had 13 cases of COVID-19 with no deaths. Our citizens have suffered immensely, and many may not be able to recover their businesses. All of our future depends on opening and being able to support our families. Lana Morales. We need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small community. We are ready to safely open. One size fits all approach does not make sense for our small town. You are elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Listen to the people. Vanessa Richmond. We need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small community. We are ready to safely open. One size fits all approach does not make sense for our small town. You were elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Listen to the people. Next is Jessica Elms. I hope this letter finds you well in good spirits. I am writing you today in support of you letting Fitness Pro Galt open its doors to the public, all while following the guidelines to have a safe environment for all, so we do not spread the COVID-19 and keep the curve flat. I have complete faith in Randy Morton, the owner, Amy Decker-Ferris, the fitness director, and the employees of Pro Fitness Galt that they will follow the state, county, and city guidelines, that will keep ourselves 6 feet apart, that one person can have 250 square foot space, and that the facility will be sanitized and cleaned regularly like they have always done. On a personal level, the reopening of the gym would be a lifesaver for me. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and weight issues, and the only real outlet for me to help myself is going to the gym. The depression and anxiety is bad enough, but I have worked way too hard to keep the weight off and stay fit. I don't know about you, but I have spent way too many years working on myself, body, mind to lose that now. I have successfully lost over 100 pounds and would like to keep it off. I would like to not feel pain daily due to the rods, screws, and staples I have in my body from various surgeries. I know all this sounds selfish and whatnot, but this holds true for a lot of us. We use the gym to help heal our bodies and minds, and Pro Fitness Galt is a small business in a small community, and they need us and we need them. We are more than willing to follow the rules set out by the state, county, and city just so we can have a little peace and normalcy back in our lives. I hope you really, truly consider letting us go back to the gym. We all appreciate it so very much. I hope you have a great day. Nicole Brule. My name is Nicole Brule, and I have been a Galt citizen for the last 5 years. I am so upset, worried, and saddened by the current state of things due to the coronavirus restrictions that have been unfairly put on us. In the beginning, I understood and was scared like a lot of people. Seeing how this has all played out though has replaced my anxiety with anger. I think our governor is not working with our best interests in mind, and I also feel that Galt does not need to be under the state's restrictive umbrella. With 13 cases and no death, what are we doing? How is this in Galt's best interest? I drive by shuttered businesses every day, wondering to myself, will they survive this? How are they surviving? We elect officials to do what is best for the people, and somehow we are all suffering at the hands of the very people we put in office. My children have been shorted on their education, an education I pay taxes for, and next year is looking like a very scary scenario in my eyes. My kids deserve to go to school in a normal fashion. They deserve to play sports and go to gymnastics. They deserve to play on the play structures. This has all gotten way out of hand, and I urge you to please stand up for us and do what our governor is not. Put our best interests first and take care of the people you were elected to serve. Brittany Brum, Simply Be Photography. As a community member and a small business owner, I am truly concerned with the economic repercussions of closing businesses any longer in a community with 13 cases and no deaths. As I can attest to, businesses are not getting federal assistance, and the state assistance is very difficult to obtain, and most have not received any yet. Every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The city is already in economic trouble, and the fallout from this closure will be devastating to our small community. This community is responsible, and we are ready to safely open. As a small rural community, we know how to adapt and will rise to the occasion with extra precautions and self-accountability. Galt is unique because of its small town charm, and if you allow all our businesses to waste away, that charm will go with them. Reopen Galt and keep it a great American little town. Rose Levine Farmers Insurance Agency. Please consider opening businesses as soon as possible. Of course, safety first and cautions taken. I believe most of our small businesses are hurting, and this would help to save their incomes. Restaurants have been hit with a double whammy with the garbage issue and now this. Help Galt recover with 0 deaths and holding at 12 or 13 cases. We are not high risk. Thank you. Brent Harleen at BMD. We, the city of Galt, are in a pivotal point for either the economic rebuild or the downward spiral that will crush our city. We are unfortunately lumped into a rather large community that is not thinking of the small town that outline the major metropolitan city they are aiming to protect. It is essential to declare Galt a sanctuary city so that we can reopen and regain the economic momentum before it is too late. We must not hesitate and be one of the last cities to reopen. We must be a trailblazer, a pioneer in this new age of society. To prove to this world that we will rise through any crisis, We are ready to safely and securely support our small businesses. Declare Galt a sanctuary city today. Priscilla Gutierrez, we need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small community. We are ready to safely open. One size fits all approach does not make sense for our small town. You are elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Listen to the people. Next is Frank Gallardo. Although I am a former executive director of the Galt Chamber of Commerce, I am no longer authorized to speak on their behalf. The following is my personal opinion, which comes from someone who does not even live in your beautiful city, but deeply cares about it at all times. Even prior to COVID-19, the economic development in Galt faced unique challenges, with commercial garbage rates now being the highest in the area and a rooftop ratio that still doesn't quite fit most site selection models. The few Galt businesses that are left have been tasked to pay for an onslaught of unfunded state mandates. It is my understanding, I apologize if my figures are inaccurate, that Galt has had 13 cases of coronavirus and no directly attributable deaths, although there has been a large uptick in Galt suicides since the shelter-in-place orders have been implemented. A small handful of iconic Galt businesses have confidentially shared with me a Cliff Notes version of their financials. Without revealing details, I will say that if this trajectory continues for even another couple weeks, unemployment in Galt is going to increase, and it will not quickly rebound in the foreseeable future. We all realize the COVID-19 virus is not something to take lightly. Although there are multiple ways to interpret the data that even the White House's own Dr. Birx has come out recently and said cannot be trusted, we must remain vigilant of all risks to the public health, which includes the numerous societal health risks associated with record unemployment and a failing economy. In reviewing the data and the totality of public health risks facing Galt, I strongly encourage the City of Galt to seriously consider sending a message to Governor Newsom that the Galt Police Department's limited resources would be utilized focusing their energies on mitigating the impact of zero bail instead of incarcerating struggling business owners. And this one's from Emily Castanon. As a citizen of Galt, I am emailing to urge our city councils to reopen our city. Even as a pregnant woman with arguably more risk to exposure, the benefits to reopening our community far outweigh the risks. With only 13 cases in a city with more than 23,000 people, we should be considered a sanctuary city. I want to bring my baby into a small town city like Galt, and the economic fall our city will face will change this great town forever. Because you're elected to represent the people of this town, I again want to encourage you to open our city. This is from Roland and Melanie Keel. We need to safely open businesses ASAP. Many business owners are in jeopardy of losing their businesses. Galt may lose taxable revenue for fiscal health of the city. We are ready to safely open. Listen to those who elected you and do the responsible thing. Marla Van, I am writing to urge you to make the city of Galt a sanctuary city and open our city now. There's only been 12 cases and no new more cases in over 3 weeks and 0 deaths. Our businesses need to open so we don't become a ghost town. Please open our city. Melissa Patterson, please let businesses and churches reopen. The economic devastation this quarantine has caused everyone is horrible. The emotional hardships that everyone is going through, especially our children, is heartbreaking. The younger kids would be thrilled to go out and have a bite to eat in a restaurant or go spend an hour each Sunday in church. Also, the teens could go and see friends and thrift shop or get their nails done. I have watched this lockdown affect my children very negatively. I have felt the financial hardship, the uncertainty of not knowing if my husband will even have a job to go back to. Most people of Galt are active in the community and care about each other. I myself have lived in Galt my whole life. I do not think the businesses or people of our town would want to hurt anyone. I feel we all would responsibly maintain social distancing. Cleanliness will always be top priority to keep ourselves and each other safe. Galt has had only 13 COVID-19 cases. I feel like we should not be included with other parts in Sacramento County. Galt is a small town with caring neighbors. Please give us sanctuary. Jonathan Oshalem. I wanted to thank the City Council for keeping us safe during this crisis by following the recommendations of the County Health Department and the Governor. I would just like to take a moment to remind everyone that in the most recent poll, 87% of people support the stay-at-home measures. Please continue to put the health and safety of the residents of the City of Galt first by following the Governor's plan to reopen the city in phases. Ann Blakey. Businesses in the City of Galt are suffering terribly. As a business owner, we need your help to provide leadership to enable our businesses to remain viable. As a small community, we have only 13 cases of COVID-19 and no deaths. Please reopen the city and allow people to feed their families. Amanda Kenyon, please claim sanctuary. It's been long enough. Let's open our little city. Jennifer Gray, former business owner, former president of the Galt Beautification Committee. I am stating my concerns about Galt businesses being closed and the serious long-term economic repercussions the lack of revenue and sales tax would have on our community. Here we are nearly a month later and the majority of Galt businesses are still closed. I find it ridiculous that Walmart can be open yet small businesses are still shuttered. Has the city calculated how much money they have lost since the shutdown began? Galt has 13 confirmed cases of COVID and 0 COVID deaths. By now, it is clear that the shutdown has nothing to do with public safety. An individual's health includes physical, social, emotional, and economic safety. Galt business owners have poured their time, hard work, dreams, and savings into their businesses. Most businesses can't afford to stay closed for another month, week, or even a few more days. I urge you to immediately take action to fully open all Galt businesses and to declare Galt a sanctuary city as Merced recently did. Also, reinstate the 4th of July festivities. There is no, must be reason to cancel an event 2 months from now. It's time to take action against the nonsense and mismanagement of the state's horrific governor. Enough is enough. We all have constitutional rights, and keep business and our lives in limbo is a violation of those rights. The community would applaud and greatly benefit from this much needed action. Ricky Coates, it's time we are getting to the point of no return. We cannot fall under the same umbrella as the bigger cities. We have had 12 cases and 0 deaths since this began. We as a town did our due diligence to help flatten the curve. It is time to get back to normal. If any little city is capable of leading the charge, it is this great American little city. Reopen Galt. Deanna Coates. It's time we are getting to the point of no return. We cannot fall under the same umbrella as the bigger cities. We have had 12 cases and 0 deaths since this began. We as a town did our due diligence to help flatten the curve. It is time to get back to normal. If any little city is capable of leading the charge, it is this great American little city. Tracy Cross. As you make important decisions regarding our local businesses, please consider these points. I am sending them in agreement with local business owners. We need to open Galt ASAP. We are a rural community with 13 cases and no deaths. Businesses are not getting federal assistance, and every day that goes by puts another business in jeopardy of not being able to financially recover. The economic fallout will be devastating to our small community. We are ready to safely open. One size fits all approach does not make sense for our small town. You are elected to represent the people of Galt, and we are ready to open. Listen to the people. Deanne Ramirez, I think we need to push for distancing from the county requirements for reopening. The city is far below the required metrics for reopening. Laura Blakey, Galt is a very small community with only 13 cases of COVID-19. The lockdown is doing irreparable damage to the local businesses. As a small business owner, we respectfully request that the city of Galt open up for business and let us feed our families. We need your leadership at this critical moment. Rebecca Weaver, please strongly consider allowing our businesses to reopen. No one is forcing people to leave their homes to patronize our Galt businesses. Galt can reduce its exposure by allowing more people to stay local while saving the few small businesses we do have. Increasing the number of shops and services available only makes social distancing easier. Our businesses have only just figured out how to survive the new garbage rate hikes, and now they've sustained a months-long shutdown. If we want any hope of a thriving small town city with a robust Parks and Rec offering, we must give our businesses a chance to resurrect themselves before it's too late. Those among us not vulnerable are lucky, but they will take their business somewhere else. Why not let our townspeople manage the best way to keep our community safe versus counting on the people in neighboring communities to do it for us? If we're honest, we know not everyone will be staying home just because we made our Galt businesses stay closed. They will simply all go to the same big box stores and restaurants in other cities and mingle with hundreds of thousands more people. Let Galt provide its people with a sanctuary by declaring our city a sanctuary for business. Stand up for our future and make us proud to be citizens of this great American small town. Lindsay Naramore, one size fits all approach does not make sense for our small town. It's time to open Galt. Stan Toscano, owner of the Iron Dragon. We urge the powers to be to immediately reopen the Galt business community. This is a hardship that may be very difficult to ever recover from. We can't afford to be financially burdened for another month, week, or days. The economic fallout is devastating to our small community. Most of our businesses will do everything possible to ensure the health and well-being of our community. Michael Blakey, as a small business owner in Galt, we are being seriously affected by the shutdown. It is doing irreparable damage to our community and our business. Please open the community and let us feed our families. It is doing irreparable damage to our community and our businesses. Please open the community and let us feed our families. Okay, next one is from Rochelle Herendeen, State Farm Insurance. I'm gonna get a drink real quick, I'm sorry. Dear members of the Galt City Council, on behalf of the Galt District Chamber of Commerce Executive Board, I would like to thank the Galt City Council and city staff for their efforts in communicating Galt's volatile business climate due to the coronavirus to Sacramento County officials. I found the letter proposed by the city manager to be professional and concise, and was proud to add my signature on the correspondence sent to the county. However, as you know, it appears that our plea for help has gone unheard, and we need to continue our joint effort to quickly reopen Galt. We must continue to keep the Galt area relevant in the minds of officials at the county level and let them know that Galt is ready to move beyond phase 2B, which is what the rest of the county will begin at the end of the week. As it stands today, Galt has only 13 positive cases identified, none which have resulted in death. Even with state and federal assistance, many of Galt's small businesses will not be able to survive without immediate steps to normalcy soon. In a recent survey sent to our members, 61% of those responding have seen 11 to 75% drop in revenues. 18% have seen more than a 76% drop. 30% have had to lay off employees. 45% have had to cut employee hours. When asked about recovery, 30% said it would take between 7 to 12 months. 14% said they may not financially recover without significant aid. As you know, the first round of stimulus funds was insufficient, forcing small businesses to fight larger enterprises, often losing that battle. According to our survey, over 50% of our responders have applied for PPP loans, economic income disaster loans, SBA loans, unemployment, and grants, but have yet to see funds arrive. These are significant numbers and concerns for our small town of Galt. The longer business hands are tied by restrictions, the worse the economic fallout will be and has the potential to shutter our town. Although legislation to help mitigate financial loss for states has passed through the House, chances are that the Senate will not pass the stimulus package. It could be months for the federal government to come to an agreement. At best, Galt will see minimal help from any of these efforts. In the meantime, Galt has business owners contemplating shutting their doors for good, hoping they can make payroll or wondering who is the next employee to lay off. In years past, the City Council has recognized the needs for an economic task force, and I submit that the businesses are desperate for leadership at both the city and chamber levels to step forward together to find solutions now. I propose the establishment of an economic recovery commission where the city and chamber can work united to help local businesses recover from this economic disaster. We need your strong leadership now. Galt businesses cannot wait. Let's work together to come up with creative solutions that help our businesses now. Miguel Cordova. Sanctuary is defined as a place of refuge or safety. What the Chamber of Commerce is calling for is anything but a sanctuary. What is even more insulting is when they steal the true meaning of a sanctuary city for their own gain. What they are asking for puts our kids at risk, our elderly at risk, our hardworking, essential working community further at risk. And for what, for whom? To side with Chamber and to support Galt opening up is so against the county and its best guidance for our community. As a county, we are on track to opening up soon. I still believe too early, but the trajectory is that we will open up soon. To listen to those guided by money instead of those guided by science and with an interest in the members of our community would be irresponsible. Why act now? Why not wait? Truth is that you have many small businesses that are opened and are supported. The town has not shut down, but not all businesses are essential at this time, and it is safer for us all to not encourage people to put themselves at risk. When I see members of the council still refusing to wear masks, I know that they truly aren't taking this health crisis seriously. Please listen to the members of this community that respect the true impact of this crisis. Richard Mays, it is an honor to speak before you and address serious concerns regarding the viability of Galt's local small business community, the heart and soul of this town. I would like to address the members tonight and offer important common sense solutions to helping our small business community not just open for monetary gain, but to do so responsibly and safely. After all, money means nothing if your health is failing, and I do not believe that COVID-19 pandemic is a hoax or just as common as the flu or asthma. I believe it is a vicious, serious virus capable, if not treated with due respect and an abundance of caution, can spell disaster for all of us locally, our country, and the world. I know we can open our city responsibly and safely if all businesses commit to doing their due diligence and taking the strongest of protocols and safety measures to ensure not only their own safety, but that of our family and community. My wife and I are salon owners here, and we know our salon, as well as our colleagues, have the ability to implement social distancing, disinfecting protocols, and schedule management to ensure the safety of all while thriving in an already damaged economy. Please allow me to share more prudent and sensible ideas, not just for our industry, but all industries in Galt, so we can thrive together, protect each other, and continue to care for our families and community safely and economically. Sandy Mello, we need to open our businesses. We are a small town and our businesses depend on us to live. We have to shut down, and yet our city, we still have to pay our utilities, water, garbage, etc. People who own stores depend on us to go shopping, and we are all family-owned stores and restaurants. Let them back to having the open sign again. It is no different from Walmart, Save Mart, and CVS. Every day when I go to these stores, nobody is social distancing. We are all exposed to this COVID. I look at it this way: you don't feel comfortable leaving your house, stay home. But let everyone else who wants to continue to live do it. I want to get my nails done and haircut. I want to sit and eat at Taco Bell. Let us live because we got one life to live with faith in our God. COVID is no match for him. I want to go to church and visit him also. Let us reopen. I think it's ridiculous how we are handling this. We can't go inside a store, but I can hang out at Walmart. Open up Galt. Kristen Crudup, I have been a member of Fitness Pro for 23 long years. In those years, I have gone through huge life changes and growth. I suffered from serious eating disorders, medication, and counseling. The thing that had gotten me through those tough years were my healthy replacement of the gym. Since that learned alternative, I became a regular at the gym. I worked out up until the day I had all three of my sons. I love the fact that they can see and be a part of such healthy and positive lifestyle that Fitness Pro, its members, and staff bring. Our small community thrives on these positive outlets. During this time, more than any, I require this healthy outlet physically and mentally. The gym is more for my sanity, not my vanity. Please consider all members and possibilities of opening. And that is it for now.
Tina, thank you. Tina, how many public comment we have so far, Judy? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I believe it was 54, 55.
All right, thank you, Tina. This item even not on the agenda, but I like to make a comment very quick, and I will ask the other council member make a comment. This is the first time I see, since I'm on a council, that many comment. The Galtonian make only the one issue. They want to open the Galt. And I totally understand on every comment is a very value, because the small business, they are dying. Small business, they are open. They also not in a good shape too, because their cost is more than whatever their revenue. The small business are closed. They're very, because business are their retirement investment. If the business going to close, somebody's, that means that person retirement is gone. So we need to work together. And even the last council meeting, we did as a unanimous, we send a letter to the health department. And the way we get a, answer from them is not a favor. And I know, unfortunately, we are falling under Sacramento County. And we need to, as a body, as myself or all my other council members, let's make a decision. Let's what we can do and get an idea from the city manager how we can open that city of God. Is everybody sitting home and then people are good? I totally understand. I was elected to listen to these people. When I was usually my votes, I went to their house. Now my heart going with everybody's. What we can do, I can ask my other council member, that's what we do. Some of the other city, I agree with some of the comment, they're doing a different way. If there is any way I can help, if anything we can help, I think we all as a body, we need to help to open this Galt. I know we are separate. That's why many times I mentioned in a council meeting, I mentioned some other places, and even I talked to Don Natoli, and I sent the same letter to Don Natoli. We are separate. We are a little bit different than the city of Sacramento. We have only 13 cases and no death, but still, is no answer is favorable. And the last thing I maybe because since we're meeting around 4 o'clock, I get a call from Don Natoli. They have a meeting today, and there is some of the, I think part B, they're going to some of the variants going to open on Thursday. And there may be some of the business, a small business restaurant, and he told me restaurant, some retail front store, they're going to open on Thursday. Let's come that letter as official, maybe tomorrow with the city. But let's work together what the best we can do for the city. And my heart go out when we have a 54 people in this city ask the same thing. And they are even, a lot of them, they are not a small business owner. They are I'm so proud. These citizens, they speak on the behalf of small business. So now I'm gonna give the chance to, on this thing, all other council members, if they have any other discussion.
I'd like to hear from the city manager as to any recent information you've received from county health with regards to modifications for businesses opening, if that's okay with the rest of council.
Tom, did you get any information today?
Yes, I have information that I was going to discuss under the my COVID-19 update from the city manager. And if you want to move that forward now, we can do that now.
I think that'd be a good idea because I think it's relevant at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of bear with me a little bit, I had this all mapped out to go over. It largely deals with the modifications that Sacramento County made today. It's rather lengthy. I'm going to read it, but it is nonetheless informative. And it begins just with the recount as of this afternoon of the county infection rate. This is information that I typically provide to the council periodically. As of today, this afternoon, it was 1,250 COVID cases in the county, 13 in Galt, no deaths in Galt, as we have been reciting 56 deaths in the county. They had I believe, a death just in the last day. And then, as we've been noting, Galt is the furthest point south, the furthest population center south. It's a small population center. We're surrounded by a rural area. And then the next city is in San Joaquin, which is Lodi. And so that really sets up the graphic or the picture of the map that we all experience. In San Joaquin County, their infection rate is 709 as of this afternoon and 33 deaths. And so the county, as you'll recall at your last meeting, the city council asked me to send a letter to the county health officer setting forth certain of the conditions that we experience in Galt, where we're at in relation to the greater whole of the county, and asking for them to provide us with a more expedited path towards reopening businesses. And as I shared with the council at the very meeting that we had, so that was, I can't recall, May 5th maybe. And so on May 5th, earlier in the day, we had asked the county health officer that very question. And she responded during your meeting that night. And one of her comments was that although there is nothing that allows an individual city to proceed faster than the county, she was responding, I think, from the standpoint that even the county had no authority to move faster than the governor was allowing, and that they were trying to make the case to the governor's office to be able to make their COVID-19 attestations and move more rapidly on opening up the county. Well, she, following the letters that were sent on behalf of the council, signed by the mayor, sent on behalf of the council, and then the letter that was sent to the joint letter between the city and the Chamber of Commerce that Rochelle Herendeen and I signed, the health officer did again indicate that they would work with us, but that they first had to get even their own permission from the state to move forward in the manner in which they desire. So today what happened was following consultations with the governor's office, following the governor's statement on Monday that he was modifying the criteria. Recall that the original criteria said that a county could not move forward with stage 2B if it had a single COVID death within the last 14 days. And so that was the criterion that was hanging up Sacramento County, and it was very frustrating to the county. And so following the governor's changing of the criteria, Sacramento County made the attestations today. The Board of Supervisors considered those. The Board of Supervisors adopted those. And the Board of Supervisors heard from the county health officer and county health director relative to how Sacramento County would then begin to move through stage part B of tier 2 of the California Resilience Roadmap, which is reopening. And so what Sacramento County is saying is that they've been given the go-ahead to move further into stage 2 of the roadmap. Businesses that are allowed to resume operations may do so upon the amendment of the Sacramento County Public Health Order, which will happen on or before May 22nd. Sacramento County made the case through a written attestation to the California Department of Public Health that the county could increase the pace at which it can advance through stage 2 ahead of the state public health order. The California Department of Public Health set out clear and specific criteria for this attestation, and Sacramento County has demonstrated that they have the ability to protect the public health and essential workers and can move further into stage 2. It remains critical that people continue to stay at home as much as possible, practice social distancing, follow good hygiene and cleaning practices, and stay home when they are sick. The county's reopening plan differs slightly from the state resilience roadmap in Sacramento County. And so here's how it's different. Religious services and special ceremonies, such as graduations, can only be drive-through outdoor gatherings, such as weddings, funerals. It can only be drive-through. Outdoor gatherings, such as weddings, funerals, and family gatherings, can have a maximum of 10 people with strict social distancing. Businesses that are allowed to resume operations upon implementation of the state reopening guidance will include dine-in restaurants. The California Department of Public Health has prepared guidance and checklist documents to create safer environments for workers and customers. Other reopening categories include small offices may reopen when telework is not available. Childcare, daycare, and family daycare can reopen. Outdoor gyms can reopen. Outdoor museums, outdoor art galleries, and outdoor theaters can reopen. Resumption of full public transportation can reopen, I guess. Micro enterprise retail storefront which means 10 employees or less, may reopen. Each category or sector should implement strict social distancing, personal protective equipment, and face coverings as appropriate. And then they ask that businesses read the Sacramento County guidance by venue and category. Read the statewide industry-specific guidance to reduce risk. And that statewide guidance can be found on the California Department of Public Health website, and it's very specific. If it's restaurants, it drops down, gives you all the guidance that you should be following. And so this is a quote from the county chair of the Board of Supervisors. He says, inducing and supporting local economic activity and promoting public health are not mutually exclusive objectives. Sacramento County's attestation affirms the work we have done and will continue to do to protect residents' health. And at the same time, it underscores our intent to proceed with caution as we carefully consider social and economic reactivation. In the county submission, the public health officer attested to the following criteria: epidemiologic stability of COVID-19, protection of stage 1 essential workers, testing capacity, containment capacity, hospital capacity, protections for vulnerable populations. Additionally, the county's variant submission to the state included the following: sectors and timelines for the county's plan to move through stage 2, triggers for adjusting modifications, and a detailed plan for moving through stage 2. And the attestation materials can be found on the county's website. The following sectors, businesses, establishments, or activities are not permitted to operate in the state of California at this time. And so I'll read what is not permitted to operate in California or under, and then obviously under the county's health order. So the following cannot operate: personal services such as hair and nail salons, tattoo parlors, and indoor gyms. Hospitality services such as bars, wineries, tasting rooms, and lounges that do not offer sit-down, dine-in meals. Entertainment venues such as movie theaters, gaming, gambling, and arcade venues, and pro sports, indoor museums and gallery spaces, zoos, and libraries, all cannot operate yet. Community centers, public pools, playgrounds, and picnics are not permitted to operate. Religious services and cultural ceremonies that are indoor and or have more than 10 people gathered are not permitted to operate. Nightclubs, concert venues, live audience sports, festivals, theme parks, and hotels and lodging for leisure and tourism all are not permitted to operate. So then they conclude by saying key indicators will continue to be monitored and trends will be evaluated to inform data-driven decisions to move from one stage to the next. And so that is, in essence, the county statement today, and provisions, obviously in short, it's an overview of how they're going to move through stage 2. And so maybe it would just assist to recap that the following are the businesses that may reopen. And that is dine-in restaurants that follow the reopening guidance for a dine-in restaurants. Small offices may reopen when telework is not possible. Childcare, daycare, and family care may reopen. Outdoor gyms may reopen. Outdoor museums, outdoor art galleries, outdoor theaters. Resumption of public transportation, and micro enterprise retail and storefronts. And they define that as having 10 employees or less may reopen. And so, again, may reopen so long as they follow the particular social distancing guidance as prescribed by the county. And in cases where there may be food or beverage served by, they follow any particular prescriptions by the county there. And so that's the recent news out of the county. I have other things associated with my COVID-19 update, but I think that gets to Councilmember Campion's question on what was new out of the county today. So the health order we anticipate will be revised by Thursday, but not later than Friday. And it will provide some new I think new language, more specificity than is here, but I think they're trying to broadly move through stage 2B at this time and have that happen tomorrow or Thursday or Friday from the information that I received. And I did receive some information directly from the County Department of Public Health that indicates that they are aware of, they continue to be aware of our particular concerns in Galt. And so what we are going to be doing as a staff is continue, as that new health order comes out, working with the county to make sure that we have as robust an implementation of that locally as we can. The county, mind you, is still governed by the state of California health order. They can't go beyond that health order, but they can be more restrictive if they determine that they need to be. And there are a couple areas, the religious services areas and the drive-through graduations are an area where Sacramento County, at least based on the information they put out today, is being more restrictive than the state.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Any other council member want any discussion, any comment, or any questions?
I'd like to make a comment. Actually, a few comments. So what I would like to say, although it might sound like really good news that we're moving into 2B, I've seen the guidelines. I've read them very thoroughly. It's very lengthy. It's very long. Basically, to say that you're letting dine-in restaurants start to open up is basically like telling a race car driver he can start driving again, but he can only do it with 3 wheels. I mean, you're talking about restrictions that I don't see some of the restaurants here in town being able to still function. There's a certain point when you can open your dining room and be able to have staff, or it's not worth it for you to do that. If you have to cut your occupancy in half or do certain things, which, I mean, there's a lot of things that are very reasonable. There's a lot of things that make common sense, a lot of things that a lot of these businesses already do as far as sanitation and things like that. And I don't disagree with any of those, but there's a lot of things that are just simply seem a little bit overkill. And it's basically creating an enormous amount of red tape for these businesses. So although we are, it sounds like a good thing, like I feel like the governor just kind of threw us a bone right now, and maybe under the pressure of cities asking, or maybe not, I feel that's why. But you can't, I mean, the bigger picture here is that this doesn't address the inconsistencies. I mean, you can go to Walmart and have 100 people in there you don't even know, but yet the county still feels that 100 people of a church congregation who all know each other are not responsible enough to come up with social distancing guidelines in their congregation so they can practice religion. Freedom of religion, I would mind you, that's in our Constitution. I mean, I just want to throw that out there. You could say, well, it's a big gathering, but we've all been to the big box stores. I think most of us have. We've all seen the amount of people that are in these places. Libraries libraries is not on the list though, so we can't open a library. I mean, you can go into a small retail store that has 10 or less employees, but you can't go to the library. I serve on the library board. I can tell you the devastating effects that this is having. Libraries are not open. The inconsistencies are ridiculous. We have a lot of small businesses in Galt that fall into those categories that aren't even being considered till phase 3 or further. Like the hair salons. We have a lot of hair salons in Galt. We have a lot of barbers. We have the gym that we had some people writing about public comment. These people are not even allowed to make concessions of social distancing. I mean, obviously the gym owner, he was saying, look, I have 17,000 square feet. I can do this and that to whatever. They're not even being given those options. And these are things that have to do with people's health. I mean, we're talking about health. We're talking about hygiene, getting your hair cut. We're talking about health, fitness, that type of thing. And so it's frustrating for me that although it might seem like a little victory that we're allowed to move into to 2B, we have our own county that is actually coming back a little bit and saying, well, we're not going to let you do everything the governor's going to do. We're going to actually back up a little bit on that. And, if you want to get married, you can do it with 10 or less people, but, I can go to Home Depot with 150 people in there and walk around. And I'm not exaggerating that. I've been there. I can tell you, it looks like Black Friday in these places sometimes. And nobody's policing that. But our small businesses are being criminalized because they want to earn a living. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who own the barbershop, this is their only livelihood. And they're told you can't cut hair because it's not safe that you sit with one client and cut their hair. Or a nail person who, as anybody that's been in a nail salon knows the amount of sanitary practices that they use. They use masks, because of the chemicals and all of that. And they're not even allowed to do that. They're basically saying, no, you can't, because there's just too high of a risk there. So for a city like Galt, where you have a lot of small businesses that fall into those categories, yeah, it's great that a couple dine-in restaurants can operate at half capacity if they do this and 100 of the things they have to do, which believe me, it's a lot. That's great for those people, but it's still not going to make a difference. It's not going to save some of those businesses. It's just not. We all saw the stats from the Chamber of Commerce. We saw those numbers. In our own staff report, in the item coming up in a little bit in our meeting, it even states that the International Council of Shopping Centers estimates that 40 to 50% of independently owned restaurants and hotels will not survive this. 40 to 50%. You can't even use hotels. Instead, you can't use hotels for travel and leisure. What difference does it make if you're traveling and you stay in a hotel room? If the whole hotel is full and all people are in their own rooms, how is that unsafe compared to going to a big department store? I don't agree with the inconsistencies. I think it's unfair. My problem here is I feel like we're being strung along, and we're being ignored. And although the city is, and the chamber have been working together, and we're trying to do some things where we're writing letters and we're appealing to our supervisors. I've been on the phone with our supervisors. I've been on the phone with lots of people this week, and it just seems like we're just making no headway. We're still at the mercy of an order that basically, was put into effect in the beginning to flatten the curve. We made sacrifices in this community to help flatten that curve, and we made those sacrifices. It was hard, and now the goalpost keeps getting moved along, and that is just playing with people's livelihoods. I want to make one last little quick statement here. I'm going to let one of my other council members say something, but my duty as an elected official is to represent the health and welfare of our citizens, and I don't mean health just pertaining to a potential virus. Health is defined as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So it's widely understood that health does not just pertain to physical illness. So it's our duty to look after the mental health, spiritual health, and the social well-being of our citizens. And as far as welfare, welfare is defined as health, happiness, and fortunes of a person or group. These shelter orders and mandates are just simply having an unhealthy effect on us. They're having effect on our mental, our social well-being, and it's trickling down into the welfare of our community, the welfare of our city. It's having catastrophic effects on the city's finances, and thus, in turn, having an impact for us to provide core services, and it will have an impact going forward to possibly have an impact on police services. All of that has to do with the welfare. So these mandates are set to protect the health and welfare, but yet they're actually doing the opposite in many respects. So I'm going to let somebody else have the floor on this right now, but those are some statements I want to put out there so far.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments, Mr. Mayor, if I may. I just want to, for clarity, I just want to understand, are we on, did we transition to agenda item H3? Or do we know?
That's as I understand it, that we pulled the COVID-19 item forward because it was in proximity to the public comment, which was entirely related to the map.
Okay, excellent. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and on the same agenda item. Harriet, do you have something to say? You look like you do. You're on mute still.
Sorry, I was just checking one of my things on the bottom. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no problem at all. I want to say this. You know, I would agree that personally, and I had this conversation with the city manager today about this very item, that some of these restrictions are just not only for the city of Galt, but for the entire area are, in my opinion, pretty unreasonable. But again, that's my personal opinion. I think that we are being affected by this. Not only small businesses, but families are being affected that live within our community. And whether it's because they can't leave their home or they're facing furloughs at their own business, or their own employer is imposing furloughs, or whatever the case is. The bottom line is it doesn't, in my estimation, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Having said that, I want to at least recognize that we do have a medical professional that is providing guidance at the county level. And I certainly didn't go to medical school, but I do share some of the same concerns that Councilman Farmer just said. I mean, why one business, is it okay for one type of business to open and another not? And you know, some of it just does not make sense to me. I want to go to a couple of the comments that we heard in the public comment portion of our meeting as it relates to partnering with the Chamber of Commerce. And I know that over the last few weeks, several months even, we've had a relationship with the Chamber that has been one that we're trying to, not trying, but we are working together. I really like the idea of a formalization of an economic recovery task force. And I think that with some clear goals and objectives will assist at least the city and the chamber to best serve the community. But I still go back to this. One point that was brought up to me was, well, you know, salons have one-on-one actual physical contact with people, and that may be one of the reasons. And that very well may be. But again, you have two people sitting in the same room as opposed to potentially 30 in a restaurant. And so it just, that coupled with, you know, the maximum folks that you can have is 10 people at a wedding. That just doesn't make sense to me. I would like at some point to hear back from staff on, you know, what are, I mean, we heard last time that we don't have the authority to reopen business on our own. But I'd like to know at some point, you know, what does that look like if as suggested by many of our community members, what does that look like if we did? You know, what liabilities are there and such? And so, again, I'm not suggesting tonight that we go against our good working relationship at this point with the county and the county health office. But I certainly see the urgency in trying to get something done sooner than later as it relates to our not only our businesses, small and large in our community, because we've heard from you know, a wide range of representatives of business, but also our consumers. And I think our consumers are being affected significantly, as I mentioned before. So I would just throw that out there to see where everybody else lands. Thank you.
Thank you. It was kind of encouraging to hear that we could get not gyms, but fitness studios open. Some of the regulations, 250 square feet space per person. I was trying to figure that out, and I think it's almost 2 of my bedrooms, smaller bedrooms. So it is quite a large space, but I'm hoping we can work with the gym to expedite that, but it has to be through the county health office, because I was reading up on it. So that would be awesome. I was also looking, not quite understanding the definition of what the sanctuary city would mean. In Atwater, anyone with a state license is probably going to lose that license, and that would be a hairdresser, a liquor license, anybody else that has nail license, that kind of thing. So I do want to say I really appreciate all the time staff has put in hours and hours trying to expedite just for Galt and letting them know that we are an island and fighting for that. I hope everybody out there realizes that, because we are trying to let them know we're not like Elk Grove and Sacramento, that we are a smaller city with hardly any breakout. And like Councilmember Farmer and Lozano said, it's very confusing, some of the regulations. We don't know where they come from, why they're so inconsistent, and it's very frustrating. Moving to level 2 is encouraging. That was great news. I'm really glad for that. So we have to really consider everything. And Paul, I know you said that all 54 comments were for opening up. I want to make sure we understand that all the public comment, there were a few, not as many, obviously, that were against and very concerned. So we have to represent and hear all that. So I want them to know we did hear that too. But I'm hoping we can get moving, and I appreciate staff working with that and working with the chamber. I appreciate them sending the letters and working with Supervisor Natoli and everybody, and we work together. Hopefully we can get this taken care of. Thank you.
I'll be short. I recognize the difficulties this has posed on all of the small businesses, and that's not just Galt; it is the entire state of California. So I have very much empathy for those business owners. At the same time, echoing comments by Councilmember Lozano, we are not medical professionals. We are not in a position to determine what is best medically for this community. And I think to that extent, we have little choice but to rely on those experts, i.e. the county at the state, although we may be in disagreement. I think that in order to legitimately and with a clear path achieve the ultimate goal, which is complete reopening. It is extremely concerning to everyone. And I think that we should work as best we can with the county and maintain those relationships and work with the chamber to the extent that we can in alleviating those problems in terms of or roadblocks to allow business to open. But at the same time, I think it needs to be consistent with the regulations that have been handed down to us and that we must deal with. That's it. Thank you.
I'd like to add one more thing, just to comment back what Rich and Kurt said and Paige.
Go ahead, John.
One thing keeps jumping out at me, and I have good friends that have businesses here in town. The same thing, 60% based on the chamber survey. So this is a factual, piece of data that's gathered. 60% have applied for funding. Businesses applied for funding and haven't received a penny. And I say that because what these people that have written in right now, these business owners and these non-business owners, they're not asking us for money. They're not writing in asking for the city to loan them some money or to do this for them or set up some kind of fund that can help them. All they're asking for is to be able to exercise their rights as Americans in what is supposed to be a free country, last time I checked, to live their lives, to make a living, to work, and to provide for their families. So they're not asking for anything from their government or from their state or their governor. All they're asking is just for them to move out of the way and let them do those very things. And I think it's our duty as a council. Kurt said something interesting. He said people are suffering all over, and they are. All across America, they're suffering, and in small towns everywhere. But you know what? But I'm not a council member for those towns. I'm a council member for Galt. So what I can do is for Galt. Those other towns, they got to figure out what they got to do. So, well, the future is uncertain, and it always is. But we need to be able to put the future of our town back in our hands. And we need to take back control of our own destiny as a city. I keep hearing this, well, if we do this or we do that, we might lose federal dollars, we might lose assistance, whatever. So we have this carrot dangling over Galt, where if we do something that we may, not get some funding, that funding is never going to see businesses. Businesses are never going to see that money. They're not seeing it now. And there's actually a program in place that says you can apply for business. They're not for money. They're not getting it. I don't want to sit back and cross my fingers for the uncertainty that we might get some kind of dollars to help our community, when over here, the very certainty is that there will be, and it's absolutely certain that there will be loss of businesses and businesses that will certainly fail. I already know a couple, like one of the comments, I know a couple of businesses I've spoke to, and they've already said that they're actually not going to recover. Even if they're open tomorrow, they're not going to recover. And it's sad. And these are businesses, they're like, we don't know what we're going to do. We just don't see us being able to dig ourselves out of this hole. So I urge, along with what Rich said, as our fellow council members, that we need to talk about ways that we can help affirm, our citizens and our businesses' fundamental rights to live their lives, to conduct business and make a living. And we need to talk about that. I would like to have this council possibly bring back a future agenda item where we can discuss what would be the next course of action that we can take. Clearly, we've been trying to write letters and things like that, and that's not working. So we clearly need to take an alternate path and figure out something that's got a little more teeth in it. And so I would like to see that discussed. I would like to see that come back as an agenda item as soon as possible, or maybe staff can discuss and come back. I want to see all the legal ramifications. I want to look at the pros and cons, but it needs to be looked at. I'm not ready to just dismiss this as, oh, we can't do nothing. Sorry, governor says this and that, and we can't do nothing. I'd like to point out one more thing. The sanctuary city thing, I haven't looked into it a lot. I did read the thing about Atwater. But I think it's funny that the governor that's mandating this stuff now was the mayor of San Francisco when they became a sanctuary city. Basically, he was basically saying, I'm not going to abide by certain immigration rules and become a sanctuary city, and we're not going to do that. He was the mayor of the city when that took place. And so now cities that are doing this, such as Atwater and Clovis and Coalinga, there's other cities that are doing similar things, are being said, you can't do that because it's illegal. I mean, the hypocrisy just spews everywhere. So anyways, I'm done for now.
Thank you, Sean. And the last comment on this one I would like to make, I'm agree with all the council members. Their concern is, I think everybody wants to open Galt. And I agree with the vice mayor, Lozano, because there is a different kind of rule. Even last night, if you guys see, in Roseville, it's a big city, and there's all the bars is open. You have a lot of people. That's why it's concerned, that is not implement equally. So there is some business is open, some are not open. So let's see, my opinion is, let's see what is the new guideline is, and the council need to be active. What else we can do, and direct the staff, what else we can do to what we can do more far to open the business, open the city, or open the, because even all the residents, all Galtonians, they staying home. So when you laid off anybody, my experience is when you laid off local person, it hurts your feeling. If somebody working for you 10 or 12 years and you have no work, you laid off is local person is hurt your feeling. And let's work together, and we are all in one body. Let's do, and let's what we can do after these new guidelines. Council, if we don't have no discussion, I'm going to move the next agenda item E, report by City Council members on regional board, commission, and committee. Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yeah, I have nothing to report since last meeting, but I do have a Sacramento Area Council of Governments meeting on Thursday, and we will be talking about the budget is actually going to get presented, and then some other miscellaneous items. So I will certainly report back at the appropriate meeting for that.
Thank you, Council Member Campion.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Council Member Lampson.
Nothing since the last one, except I do have an air quality board meeting next week, and hopefully we will be discussing budget and all that, and we'll see what this COVID has done to the air quality.
Thank you. Next agenda item is information consent calendar. Tina, you pulled the item F1, right?
Yes, but Councilmember Farmer didn't report on E.
Oh.
Mhm.
Nobody wanted to,
Councilmember Farmer,
nobody wants to hear from me
sorry
anymore.
about that, man.
I don't have anything to report at the moment.
Thank you. All right, on the consent calendar, approve the consent calendar except item number F1. Tina, pull that item. Do we have a motion out there?
I'd like to move the consent calendars, consent calendar item F2 through F4.
Second.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Lozano, second by Council Member Campion. Tina, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. Motion carry 5-0. Thank you. Okay, next agenda item G, schedule matter notice of public. There is no schedule matter, no notice of public hearing. Next agenda item H, regular calendar, Treasurer's Office. H1, subject city's investment policy for fiscal year 2020 and 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
John Bell.
City Council members. Before you tonight is the investment policy for fiscal year 2021. And by government code, this has to be presented to you in a public meeting. And I just want to tell you of 3 different changes that I made from last year's investment policy to this year's investment policy. So if you're following along with me in the packet, the first change is on page 5, and that is the local agency investment fund. So LAIF increased the amount of money that you can place into LAIF from $65 million to $75 million. Well, this is kind of a moot point for us at the city of Galt because we didn't even come close to the 65 million. So that was one change. The next change is what I consider to be the most important change, and that is in a low interest rate environment. I've placed in the authorized investments that we would be able to invest in corporate notes. Now, corporate notes, we can only have, say, 30% of our portfolio invested in corporate notes, and they have to be by Standard & Poor's or Fitch, or Moody's, that they have to be at grade A or above. Now, let me give you some examples. Like, for instance, it's very similar to baseball as far as how corporate notes are graded. They're graded A, double A, and triple A. So a couple examples of say a triple A is say bonds in the name of Microsoft or Johnson and Johnson. Double A is say Walmart, Amazon, Toyota, Google. Single A is like say Costco, John Deere, Home Depot, Coca-Cola. So those are examples, and I want to make it clear for the general public who is listening in. I'm not saying we buy stocks. As a matter of fact, we can't buy stocks because that's based upon government code. But these are corporate bonds, and in a low interest rate environment, which we're in now and will be for quite some time, corporate notes just simply gives me just a few more options as far as what to invest in. So that's why I included it in this year's investment policy under a suitable and authorized investment. And then the last change is on page 8 of your packet. And I talked about benchmarks. So in the investment policy, you need to have a benchmark just to determine where your portfolio is in relationship to to this benchmark. So we did have in there in the third paragraph, I did have that the benchmark be the 3-month treasury bill. I've changed that to conform with many other agencies in the state of California to be the 2-year treasury note. And although right now in the low interest rate environment, it doesn't make any difference. But that was just simply the third change. So with that, I'm going to ask the council members to approve the next fiscal year investment policy for the years for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021. Mr. Mayor.
I can jump in here until he returns.
Okay.
Is there any council questions regarding this matter?
No.
Okay.
Sean put this together a while ago, and it's served us well, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. Are there any public comments, City Clerk, on this matter?
No.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion unless there's any other discussion by council.
Move to accept.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Campion and a second by Councilmember Lamson. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. So motion passed with 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. And the next item, Mr. Mayor, is the Treasurer's Report ending March of 2020. As I talked about just a second ago, was about the low interest rate environment. And to kind of give you some examples, a 3-month Treasury bill is at 0.11%, and a 5-year Treasury note is at 0.33%. So, as I said, it's a low interest rate environment. It will be for quite some time. I do want to kind of skip ahead a little bit in the fact that the city had a CD that just matured last week, and that was at Farmers and Merchants Bank. It was at 2.25%, and that had been for 2 years. I was able to renew that, not at 2.25, but I was able to renew that at 1.10 for 2 years, which in today's interest rates, that's phenomenal. So, I think that will certainly benefit Galt a little bit, and we keep the money locally, and that's the main thing I wanted to do. And then the last comment I have about this month's Treasurer's Report is the interest that was earned for the first 3 quarters of the fiscal year. So the city has earned over, it earned $1,013,997, which is phenomenal. We have not earned that much in at least a decade. And that's because the interest rates were higher prior to this virus. And I will also say that for the next fiscal year, that 2021, that amount of interest is going to be probably cut in half. So don't expect to receive this amount again for the foreseeable future. To the council members, I ask that I'll answer any questions, but if you otherwise, I ask for your approval of the treasurer's report for March 2020.
Thank you.
Sean, I have a question, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor. So what's the outcome look like moving forward? You just said that CD just renewed. So you just said we re-up the CD for a new rate. I didn't catch
Yes.
that.
Yeah, we re-upped the new rate. It matured on May the 12th. And so farmers and merchants, as you know, we've been with farmers and merchants as a city for close to 70 years. And so there's a very good built up relationship. And they were able to renew that CD for an additional 2-year term at 1.10, which compared to other banks, as some of you know, I work for another bank, and we wouldn't give a 2-year CD. We'd probably give maybe 0.40. So that just kind of goes in comparison as far as what that relationship means to us. Farmers and merchants really stepped up and gave us a good rate given the current financial situation.
Well, it also probably shows that they would love to have our money invested there. So, I mean, could be, I know the rates are going down in the midst of what's going on. And so, yeah, that's good news. I was just curious of moving forward some of our other investments, if we're going to start, we did really well, and that's good to hear that because we need it. But are we going to start taking a hit now moving forward because of the lower rate?
Yes. Right now, as we stand today, the majority of our funds are at LAIF. And the reason is because they're paying the highest rate. It's right now, today is 1.30%, but that rate is dropping like a rock. And you're going to see that down to about 0.5%. As that moves down, then I will be going back and investing in, say, callable agencies. And now I'll be able to invest in some corporate bonds. So I'm trying to, again, follow the objectives, maintain the safety of our money, maintain and make sure there's enough liquidity. And then after those two are satisfied, just maintain and try to get as much yield as I possibly can.
Thank you,
Does
Sean.
that answer that? Yeah, thank you.
So anybody have any discussion, or do we have a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Vice Mayor Lozano, second by Council Member Farmer.
I was moved by Campion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right, moved by Council Member Campion, second by Council Member Farmer.
Yes.
Gina, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. Motion carry 5-0.
Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you. All right, next agenda item, City Manager's Office. Update on coronavirus. I believe that item we moved in earlier, but I will ask the city manager if he wanted anything on this agenda item.
I can reserve the balance of my comments for staff comments because while they have a COVID-19 flavor, they're not all directly related to COVID-19.
Thank you. Next agenda item is the H4. uh, temporary suspension of transient occupancy tax. On this agenda item, I need to recuse myself from participating in this item because I have an ownership interest in the Best Western Hotel in Galt, which collect the TOT tax from the customer and remit to the city of Galt. So based on this, I have a conflict of interest and will recuse myself from the discussion of this item. I will ask Vice Mayor Lozano take over this item. While I would typically leave the room for this virtual meeting, I have been advised by the city attorney to leave the room by turning off my cameras, microphone, and speaker. And when that item will done, I would like to ask city managers, give me a call or send me a text message on my cell phone so I will rejoin the meeting. Thank you. And I'm going to give me a minute. I'm going to off from the meeting.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor. Amy Mendez, Economic Development Manager. I am here this evening to present to you an item related to a proposed suspension of transient occupancy tax for hotel operators in Galt. Next slide, please.
You know, Amy, it doesn't look like that graphic is going to come up.
Oh, interesting. Well, I think that we'll be okay if we just run through. As most of you are aware, the Galt community, as we've heard tonight, as well as the state and nation for that matter, are all experiencing extraordinary conditions as a result of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. On March 17th, the city of Galt declared a local emergency related to COVID-19, which was followed shortly by public health orders issued at the state and county levels, mandating individuals to stay at home or at their place of residence. These orders also prohibited travel, which has had a tremendous impact on our local hotels and other hospitality-related industries. Next slide. It doesn't look as pretty as it did on my screen, but I'll take it. As Councilmember Farmer mentioned earlier, 40 to 50% of independently owned restaurants and hotels will not recover from the devastating impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this was part of a webinar that I joined in on a couple of weeks ago. And that's pretty significant when you look at this, actually this webinar that occurred was in April, and now we're in May, and we still don't have our restaurants or our hotels actually operating at full capacity. STR, which is a global hospitality data tracking company, recently mentioned that as of April 29th, 2020, nearly 8 out of every 10 hotel rooms were empty across the country. Individual hotels and major operators are projecting occupancies below 20% for upcoming months. And in Galt being a smaller community, those numbers are even lower. And so typically at an occupancy rate of 35% or lower, hotels may simply close their doors because it becomes more costly to operate than remain open to the public. And I know that we talked earlier during this meeting about some of the resources that have been deployed at the state and national level, really aimed at helping the small businesses weather the short-term impacts of COVID-19. But the tools that have been deployed have been very difficult to access. They're confusing for a lot of small businesses, and many require the acquisition of more debt which I think with the uncertainty of what's happening right now and how long this is going to continue, a lot of the businesses are just worried about taking on additional debt, not knowing if they'll have the ability to pay that back. And so it's been, I think, from the small businesses, really difficult to try and maneuver the financial impacts of this pandemic. Next slide.
I think you'll have to talk through it. For some reason, the graphics didn't show up.
I need to go back to my old school, just bullet points, apparently. No more graphics. So just this slide really was talking about the impacts to our local hotels. And I've reached out to all 3 of the hotels that we have, the Days Inn, which just recently opened, the Best Western, and then also the Comfort Inn. And all 3 of those hotels have seen an 80 to 90% decline in revenue, basically only renting rooms to essential workers. And so unfortunately, this has caused layoffs at all 3 of the hotels. Most of them have seen a cut in hours for their employees of upwards of 50%. And we don't have potential closures at this point, but the longer this goes on, the more of an impact that it's having on our local hotels. And occupancy right now is below 20% at all 3 of the hotels. This actually started in early March, has continued obviously through April and through May now, and is likely to continue through the summer, which is usually the most robust season for our hotel operators. And so this is really going to impact their ability to really keep their employees and to pay their bills. Next slide. Our local hotels are really important to the community because of a revenue standpoint, but also the employment standpoint. Currently, our 3 hotels have roughly 30 employees. Typically in their peak season, they run 40 to 45. So we have seen quite a big dip in the amount of employees that they have on site currently. As I mentioned, there's been significant hours cut for the employees, and there has been some layoffs at each of the locations. The hotels provide a significant general fund revenue, and transient occupancy tax is the largest portion of that, but there's a lot of spinoff with ancillary sales tax from the guests at the hotels. They provide a location for the tourists to stay, and those tourists spend their money in Galt. They shop, they dine, they patronize our businesses, they attend our events. And so it's really important to make sure that they can survive this pandemic moving forward into the future. Next slide. So transient occupancy tax, as I mentioned, hotels provide a pretty significant general fund boost, and TOT is the main source, which is transient occupancy tax. TOT is a lodging or bed tax, sometimes is what it's called. It's charged to travelers when they rent accommodations in a hotel or lodging facility. TOT is remitted by the hotel operator to the city or county jurisdiction where it's located. As I mentioned, we have 3 hotels currently. Galt's TOT is 10% of the cost of a hotel room per night. Now that number varies from city to city, but the number right now in Galt is 10%. So per night, 10% of that hotel room cost is remitted to the city, typically paid on a quarterly basis through the finance department. On average, $290,000 is collected annually from Galt hotels. Now that number has been from the 2 existing hotels, Best Western and from the Comfort Inn. We also have the new Days Inn, which just recently opened in the first quarter of 2020. And they have not remitted TOT yet. So we have yet to see the TOT from Days Inn, but I have been in contact with the operator of the Days Inn, and they've taken a significant hit. You know, starting up as a new hotel, is one thing, getting your name out there and getting people to be familiar with your business, but then having a worldwide pandemic hit where nobody's traveling has really taken a toll on that location. And so we have yet to see TOT remitted from the days in, but we do have forecasts that were put in place on what we anticipated. And I think a lot of you may have been part of an incentive that was provided to the hotel. So that had an economic impact analysis done as part of it. And so we had numbers, kind of concrete numbers put in place on what we anticipated for TOT. So there is a significant boost for the city in terms of what's remitted from TOT tax. Next slide. Oh, there it is. Next one, Tom.
Your city manager at work behind the scenes.
You fixed it. So with current travel and entertainment restrictions, hotel occupancy is extremely low, like I mentioned, and it's really forecasted to remain unstably low until travel restrictions are eased. And there's been no real concrete evidence of when that date is. And so because of this, we're proposing an urgency ordinance, which is very similar to what several cities have been doing, which basically suspends the remittance of TOT. And this is somewhat of a deferral into the future. So we are proposing the suspension of sections 3.36080 and 3.36090 of the Galt Municipal Code. This is concerning penalties for failure to remit the transient occupancy tax when due and related enforcement mechanisms when hotel operators are delinquent in making payments to the city. Next slide. The proposed urgency ordinance allows hotel operators to defer TOT payments until the end of the quarter following termination of the local emergency by the city of Galt. So, for instance, the local health emergency ends in July 2020. Payment would be due at the quarter ending December 2020. If the local emergency was terminated in November 2020, payment would be due the first quarter ending of 2021. And so this isn't any forgiveness. It would just be a deferral, basically, and a suspension of the ordinance covering that. The hotels would continue to report TOT revenue amounts to the city as required so that revenues can be tracked and recorded by finance in the period which they are earned. And then hotels must continue to collect TOT from guests. So this isn't them getting out of collecting the TOT. It's just really provides the needed cash flow bridge to hotels, really to help avoid further layoffs and potential closures of hotels in Galt. Next slide. In terms of the fiscal impact, the revenue for the city will continue to be recognized as reported by the hotel. So finance will still continue to recognize what the revenue is, and this has really little impact on the city's cash flow. The deferral of the TOT revenue will not have an impact on revenue recorded for the entire fiscal year, but it is important to note that the TOT that we projected as part of our forecast and our budget is really likely not to be recognized or reached because of the impact of COVID-19. We really are seeing significantly lower than originally forecasted numbers for our hotels and for TOT. So we are asking for a deferral for the hotels for the TOT that they're collecting. We're just anticipating that number is going to be a lot lower than what was forecasted for our budget. So the projected reduction in future TOT, we've talked to the hotel operators. We've gotten an idea of what that number looks like, where their occupancy is at, and hopefully through the rest of the year, we can put together some accurate numbers on what that TOT looks like so that we can be prepared moving into the future in terms of budget. But like I said, City of Davis, I know, has put something similar in place. The City of Woodland, the City of Petaluma, there are quite a few that have recognized the impact to the hotels. And so with the really limited number of tools out there coming from the government to help these hotels, this was something that we thought would be important. And I have heard from a few of the hotels that they're going to have difficulty actually making their TOT payments. And so that was kind of the reason behind this item tonight. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, are there, well, I'm sure we have questions from council members, but I'm going to start with Council Member Farmer.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I do have a quick few questions. So just to understand the TOT, so this is not like, this doesn't work like sales tax where there's a projected amount that they're gonna bring in, and so they pay that amount and then they evaluate what it is and then there's money given back. They do business for, say, the month of March, and then 10% of whatever they did is then due on net terms of like a month or two or something, and then they're able to pay that. That's typically how it works, right?
It's paid on a quarterly basis. So let's take January, February, March as Q1 2020, and then payment would be due April 1st typically. So it's the quarter that they could take into account. It is 10% off of the room rate for each nightly stay. So it's paid basically after the quarter ends.
So then doing some simple math was thinking, so let's say, just for the sake of conversation, that a hotel does $100,000, typically, you know, normal business when nothing's going on like what's going on now. So they would be, so for a quarter, they would owe 40,000 in TOT tax, right? I'm sorry, 30,000. So, so let's say because of what's going on, they're doing, you know, you said, you know, we're doing 20% or less. So let's say they're doing 20,000. So they're only 2,000. So basically, a typical hotel could be basically, we're going to defer 3 months worth of those TOT, which could be somewhere around $6,000, just using that simple. So basically, they're deferring that and allowing them to pay that the next fiscal cycle, right?
Correct. So if they, let's say, I think I mentioned in the presentation, July, the stay and shelter order is lifted. That's Q3. So at the end of Q4, it would be the following quarter where they would have to remit full payment.
Okay. So initially, you know, I was thinking about this and I was like, well, you know, there's so much uncertainty, and you even said it yourself, that people just don't know. You know, you're talking about the loans that businesses were taking. They're just reluctant because they just don't know, am I ever going to get back into business? Is going to return enough for me to be able to pay that money back? So I was thinking, are these hotels going to be able to be in that position where they feel comfortable? But then I thought, you know, it's 10%, so it's not like it's 50%. I mean, it's a small number, and if they're not doing much business, the number is probably very small. So we're probably not talking about that much money. My only concern would be what you said about the stay-at-home order ending in July. Like, I wouldn't bet a nickel on that right now, just because I wouldn't. So, I mean, let's just assume that, say that doesn't happen and this thing extends past that. When then would the money be due then? Say again?
So let's say it ends in November. The stay and shelter order is lifted in November. So it would be due the first quarter ending of 2021. So in March of 2021, essentially.
And you don't see any financial impact by deferring this money? I mean, you said there's no financial impact really. So what, I just want to understand that a little bit better.
I don't see Claire on the line, but from what I understand, the revenue is still recognized for the current quarter. And it's basically, when it's received, doesn't impact the city's budget. So if it's a quarter later, I don't think that there's, oh, Sean just chimed in. I think he wants to talk here.
Well, it depends upon when the stay-at-home orders end. If the stay-at-home orders the stay-at-home orders don't end until March of next year, then it's possible that, you know, we would receive the payments for FY21 in FY22. But essentially, what this gets to is just a bit of a cash flow issue, and it's because the payment isn't due until after the the quarter after the stay-at-home orders end, and so it's just all a bit of a guessing game with that. But the money will still come in. The stay-at-home orders would have to proceed for most of the next fiscal year in order for us not to receive the income in this coming fiscal year. So that's what I mean by saying it's just a bit of a cash flow issue for FY21.
Yeah, I get that it's kind of a cash bridge, and I do like the fact that it's not, like going back. It kind of reminds me of the thing we talked about with Blue Dog Beverage Company, where we were looking at a deferral instead of a forgiveness. This is just a deferral. So, we want to help our businesses when we can. I wish there was something we could do for other businesses. I know there's really not monetarily that we can. I feel really bad for Mr. Patel. I know he worked so hard and dumped a ton of money into that hotel, and it was just like got the rug pulled right out from under him. I can relate on a smaller scale to that. So I get what he's going through, and I appreciate him just hanging in there.
Other businesses do have the state's sales tax deferral program as well. And so businesses that collect sales tax can defer up to $50,000 in sales tax remittance to the state to a later date as defined by that program.
So
you're right, Sean, though, like it has been really difficult for these smaller businesses. And as much as the government has tried to push out, the PPP loan and the economic injury and disaster loan, they've really been difficult to come by. A lot of folks haven't even heard back from SBA on their loan applications. PPP, you don't even see banks taking the applications anymore. So we've had to get creative and supplying some websites that are still accepting applications that you never would even know existed. And so it's very unfortunate. It's very frustrating. And, coming from economic development side of things, it's really tough. And I wish that there were, things that the city could do. And this was one thing that we thought maybe could help some of our businesses. It's unfortunate that we don't have more that we can do, but obviously in the condition that we're in financially, but also just statewide, this is a huge impact.
Well, these are important businesses. Our hotels are very important to a community. They bring in, the TOT money, which is a big help to our general fund. So, I mean, this is something I think that I probably will. I'm in support of it. I think it's to try to kind of help them a little bit along, but it doesn't hurt the business, the city financially. But so my only last thing is, so if we pass this, then basically we automatically just, whenever the stay home, we're kind of at the mercy of when the stay home ends, knowing when we're actually going to see that money. That's the only really unknown with this. Is that correct, Tom?
That's right.
Okay. That's
but you made a critical point. One of the items that we went over earlier is, to your point, that for leisure and the leisure type travel, the hotels aren't supposed to be operating in that way, and so unfortunately for them, they aren't collecting much TOT right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks, Tom.
Okay, Council Member Campion.
No comments. I mean, I think the report's pretty self-explanatory, and if the deferral helps them, I'm in agreement.
Council Member Lamson.
Thank you. Yes, everything was explained rather well.
And Amy, I only have just a couple of questions, or actually a question and then one point to make. And this may have been covered, but are we the total TOT that we get annually is that 300,000 or around there?
Yeah, it's roughly 290 is what it's been for the last few years. That was before Days Inn. So Days Inn is a new hotel that has yet to remit TOT. So we did anticipate an additional I believe it was 150,000 in TOT from Days Inn once they opened up. They do have quite a few more rooms than what Best Western does.
Okay. And I have talked to managers of some of our hotels in here, and I know that our occupancy rate here for the industry standards pretty good. In normal,
Typically, yes.
yeah, they're running at like 85 and 90%, which is, and to be down now to 15 to 20 is a significant hit to them and their businesses. And again, I'll just reiterate, I think this is fair. I think it's a thing that the city can do to assist our businesses however we can, and I would be in support of it as well. Is there any public comment on this item?
Yes, I have 2 public comments.
Excellent.
First one is Sherry Tompkins, General Manager of the Days Inn. As we are painfully aware, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has devastated the economy on a global scale. Nowhere else can this negative impact be seen than in the lives of individuals of the smaller communities and small businesses. The hospitality industry has been particularly hard hit, yet we are all in this fight together. It is up to us all to do our part in mitigating the impact on our community and the lives of our local workforce. The average nightly occupancy of Days Inn has suffered by 90%. This has severely impacted our daily revenues and ability to keep members of our community employed. Even a moderate relief in this loss of revenue will go a long way in securing the future of our employees and their families. In the light of the aforementioned, we humbly request that you waive the requirement for transient occupancy tax for a period of up to 6 months. These funds will be reappropriated and used to ensure our property can continue to employ members of our community whose livelihoods depend on our industry, even at a reduced occupancy. Second is Mel Shamlin, General Manager of Comfort Inn and Suites. I know that you are well aware that the hotel industry is burdened with an additional tax. This tax is paid directly to the City of Galt to facilitate the additional expense of transient guests in the city. In addition to the fact that a portion was to be utilized for the purpose of bringing tourism to our city. Over the last several years, the hotels have had record business, bringing in a goodly amount of income for the city. We are now facing hard times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Not only is our occupancy falling, but because of the increased competition, our rates are also diminishing. Our occupancy has fallen 70 to 90% below the last several years. As occupancy falls, so we are also losing the ability to hold substantial rates, thus losing income in 2 ways. The cost to remain open is staggering, even while we have cut our employee load. During this pandemic, we are trying to hold on to our loyal employees by cutting their hours and sharing what hours we can with all. We are asking that during this pandemic that we might be able to find some relief in the form of a waiver on the transient occupancy tax. This will give us relief and an opportunity to utilize those funds to keep our property running and ensure that we can continue to support our employees. I understand that the city is also facing hardship, but the small amount we are bringing in at this time, I'm sure would not be missed by the city, but would greatly strengthen our ability to stay open. Thank you for your consideration and look forward to hearing your decision.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any further discussion by council? If not, we will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Farmer and a second by Councilmember Lamson. Now have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Farmer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lozano.
Aye. And I just want to make note for the city clerk to ensure that the meeting minutes should reflect that Mayor Sandu announced a potential conflict of interest and left the virtual meeting consistent with the direction from the city attorney.
Okay, and I've let the mayor know that it's time to come back, and so we should have him back momentarily.
Excellent.
And he's rejoining us right now.
Mr. Mayor, welcome back. I now turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Lozano. Thanks a lot. All right, next agenda item is communication. Tina, there's any communication?
We did receive 3 more comments during the council meeting.
Can you read that?
Yes, first one, Jocelyn Gunter. I am emailing my concerns about Galt businesses being closed and the serious long-term economic repercussions the lack of revenue and sales tax would have on our community. Here we are nearly a month later and the majority of Galt businesses are still closed. I find it ridiculous that Walmart can be open, yet small businesses are still shuttered. Has the city calculated how much money they have lost since the shutdown began? Galt has 13 confirmed cases of COVID and 0 COVID deaths. By now, it is clear that this shutdown has nothing to do with public safety. An individual's health includes physical, social, emotional, and economic safety. Galt business owners have poured their time, hard work, dreams, and savings into their businesses. Most businesses can't afford to stay closed for another month, week, or even a few more days. I urge you to immediately take all action to fully open all Galt businesses. The community would applaud and greatly benefit from this much needed action. Next is Terry Parker, Parker Realty. I am writing in support of making Galt a sanctuary city for businesses. As leaders of our city, I encourage you to look at what is best for our community. It is not a one-size-fits-all. We are not a large metropolitan city. We are a small city with only 13 reported cases and no deaths. The only city that has less than Sacramento County is Ileton, which has a considerably less population, yet we continue to be locked down with cities such as San Francisco, LA, San Diego, etc. Our small businesses cannot withstand being shut down any longer. The businesses of our city are here more for the love of our city than for financial success. We do not have the population for that. And with the recent utility increases, the struggle has been exacerbated. It breaks my heart to drive through our town and see so many small businesses closed while big box stores are shoulder to shoulder with people. If our state leaders are not willing to trust our city leaders to govern their community, then we have no choice but to become a sanctuary city for our businesses. At some point, common sense has to prevail. The result of this lockdown will scar our community for some time, and the longer it goes, the worse it will be. Each day counts for a family depending on the income of their small business. Our business owner truly cares about all the citizens in our community and would never want to put them at risk. I am confident they will open with our citizens' health in mind and take all the measures needed to ensure their customers are safe. We need to give them that chance. I know this is a bold step for all of you, but I know each and every one of you love our community. We are here to support you in this bold move. Thank you for your time. Next is Kim Mackey, owner of Hairworks. I am the owner of Hairworks Beauty Salon in Galt. I have 8 women that work in my shop, and we have been closed since March 20th. Please help us get back to work and reopen our doors. We still have rent and utilities to pay as we are closed. Fortunately, our area has not been compromised with the COVID-19. My shop is very clean and we are fully ready to open and offer all sanitized services. Please consider us opening now. Those are the comments I've received.
Thank you, Tina. Next agenda item J, city clerk's report. Tina Hubert.
This item is for City Council to adopt a resolution calling a general municipal election and requesting the Board of Supervisors of Sacramento County to consolidate the general municipal election with the presidential general election held on November 3rd, 2020. There is a $25 filing fee for nomination papers as set forth by the Galt Municipal Code. And I was just notified yesterday by the Registrar of Voters that the estimated candidate statement fee is now $550 instead of the previously stated $350, which will be corrected in the resolution. Also, staff recommends the word count limit in the candidate statement to be 200 words, but City Council has the discretion to set the word limit between 200 and 400 words. In the past, City Council recommended a runoff election in the event of a tie vote, which constitutes an added expense, which is at a minimum at this time $129,070. This would be the time for City Council to revisit a more cost-saving alternative of determine the tie by lot per Elections Code 15651A, which is basically the draw straws or put names in a hat type method, and revise the recommended action accordingly. The cost to the city for a consolidated election is approximately $18,211 for one contest, and this amount is included in the budget for fiscal year 2020-21. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. So you're talking about the runoff, that would be in the case of an exact tie?
Correct.
I know we've had some close elections. Do we know if there's ever been a tie before? Does anybody know?
Not that I know of.
There hasn't in modern memory.
Okay.
And I might add that the cost range, I think, Tina, was a range between 129,000 at the lowest end up to as much as 258,000.
Which is the high estimate, yes.
Which is the high estimate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even know if it's worth discussing because if there's never been a tie, the unlikelihood is probably very unlikely. But is there any other alternative besides drawing straws or hats? And I mean, is there any other things that you could think of, Tom, that you've seen before?
I've seen a flip of the coin. I've seen straws happen. Fortunately, never in a community that I was in, but in some adjacent communities. Very unlikely events. I'm not sure if Harriet has any experience that would show any other methods of doing that.
No, I think you've covered them all, and I have never had a tie in one of the cities that I've been representing.
Well, I would recommend we just leave it the way it is. I mean, 100,000 is a crazy number to have to do a runoff, but with that being said, I would just be floored that we were going to decide the fate of a city council which in turn decides, so many important things for a city on the mere flip of a coin or a draw. I don't know. I don't think I could go for that. I
disagree. I can't see spending up to $200,000 when the community is completely split. That would make complete, in my opinion, nonsense. I mean, I would see a flip of the coin at that point. I mean, that's just my position. I could not see spending that kind of money, Sean.
Well, what's the policy been? How long has it been the way it's been in Galt now?
Do you know, Tina, how long that's been in place? You're on mute.
And I don't even know that it's changed over the years either.
I looked as far back as probably 2014 through the election.
If I can pop in here, I think it's been that way since 1946. Now,
Which-
admit I wasn't. It's been that way as far as the how it's been written.
And this is a provision of the election code. So the council need only avail itself to one of the provisions of the election code to determine how a tie is to be decided. And one of the options is obviously run another election. The other is to determine, and which then gives right to coin. You have two candidates that received a lot of votes, and that the community was obviously endorsing to the point that they came out unfortunately in a tie. But it wouldn't be as though you'd be picking some intervening third party.
Does the term ranked choice mean anything to you, Tom?
Well, ranked choice voting is a concept that I'd probably hope that Harriet could more adequately describe. But it's
runoff stuff, and it's popped up.
Right. So we have ranked choice voting in California for some of our national elections, to Congress and the like.
What does it mean?
Well,
so ranked choice
go ahead,
voting allows you to pick to rank the choices for the position that's being elected, and if your top choice doesn't get within the top 2 or 3 of the total, then you go to your second. Then they'll go to your second choice or your third choice to see who is elected. So it sort of reruns the ballots with different and lower choices until you get a majority vote. And that's possible now in California, but San Francisco uses it. Davis thought about it for quite a while, but they would have had to go and become a charter city at that point, and the voters didn't choose to do that. So it's been talked about a lot, but it hasn't been used that much.
Sounds like
it's supposed to help minority voters, minority candidates potentially get higher up in the ranks to be able to be elected.
Sounds like it would require an alteration of the ballot, though. Like it would have to be arranged differently, where you have like a first choice, second choice instead of just right.
Right. You have to know in advance that you're having a ranked vote. You can't use it as a runoff tool.
I don't know, Mayor, Vice Mayor Page, do you have any?
I just leave it like that. There's too much cost. Sean, if we're running 250 or 200,000, and especially this, like in evidence, it's never happened before. It's very slim chances. So I support to leave it like this. The only thing I have, Tina, there's just one question. You said something just for clarification to the public, $350 to $550. What's that?
That's the candidate statement. It's an option. If a candidate wants to file it, it's not mandatory. But the Registrar of Voters did send out a notice that they raised it from the usual $350 to $550 yesterday.
Oh, so that's
the candidate's guide when they publish it.
That's the Sacramento County increased their price from $350 to $550, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a couple of comments on this item. When I read that, I was a little taken back by an additional runoff, knowing that we in our city, certainly in other jurisdictions, have the benefit of multiple elections going on in a county at one time. That's what keeps our costs down in terms of the actual election. Now, is there a price to put on an election? Who knows? But probably not. But the point is if we're in a runoff, at that point, that's a lot of money. And and again, this isn't necessarily a hill that I want to die on or anything. I mean, I'll go with whatever the majority of my colleagues want to do, but I think at that point, if you had an exact tie, the flip of a coin might actually be something that people would be willing to do. And so, it's, I just can't, I just couldn't see, like, let's just say for example, let's say we had an exact tie this election. Where are we going to get $200,000 to run another election? It's just, certainly for this election, it would be tough, and that's what we're looking at. So, I'm not much of a gambler, so leaving it to chance for me, I'm a little more conservative on those things. I probably have the first dollar that I've ever made. So, but my point is that we're not taking the ability for the public to vote on a council election, but we're certainly taking a different look at if there were to be a tie. Now, again, is there really going to ever be a tie? Who knows? But so those are just my thoughts. And again, not something that I'm very passionate about either way. I just think in this environment, to spend that amount of money on a re-election would be pretty tough. And also, I would point out that as a former candidate 3 times, running a re-election campaign, certainly with how campaigns are run these days, wouldn't be very appealing to me. So I personally would probably much rather see who drew the shortest straw, or whatever the election code allows for.
Thank you.
So Tina, is this something the Registrar of Voters asked us to do? Am I reading that wrong?
You're on mute, Tina.
Sorry, I don't know why I keep forgetting. Yes, they send us a letter every election season asking us to do a resolution consolidating the election.
And this is one of the items for that consolidation. You have to predetermine in advance how a tie vote might be resolved.
I just want to throw back in. So I was not in favor of the 100. I was confused. I thought that we currently did a runoff and we were looking to change it to a coin flip. I was in favor of whatever it is since 19 whatever. I just want to stick with that. So if that's the coin flip, draw straws, or scissor paper rock or whatever it is, I just want to leave it alone. So I think my comments was confused. So.
Currently right now, Sean, it is a runoff.
Oh, it is. So we're going to change it if we want to change it.
Yeah. Right. That's the question for the council, and we just wanted you to have all the financial information associated with that so that you could make an informed determination of how you would want to proceed.
I don't know who made the comment. I think it could confuse me. As somebody said, I'd like to leave it alone. I don't want to spend the money. And so then I was like, so that confused me with the leaving it alone. No, I would definitely be in favor of saving the money. I don't, it's not realistic. I mean, we're only spending $18,000 I would not be in favor of spending that kind of money for a runoff. And it's like such a long shot chance that it would happen anyways, knock on wood. But yeah, so I would support a change to a non-expensive method. That would be my.
Knowing that would be a change from its current form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would the wording be just to be determined by lot? And then that would be up then to the council, or would you specify within the body of the resolution the precise method?
Harriet, can you answer that?
I think all you have to do is say determined by lot, and then it would be done by the registrar, I believe, determines the exact method. Though I'm sure if the council weighed in, they would take that under consideration. I think that's the way it works.
I mean, this might sound like a really stupid question, but I mean, we're just looking at theoreticals here, but does whatever method it is, let's say it's a coin flip, whatever, this actually happens in like live with like, the two candidates in person right there. It's not something that the register says, oh, we flipped
Yes.
the coin.
Yes.
It happens at a council meeting.
All right. Okay. I'm just trying to.
So back to where I was. So this is something they're asking us to do in the long run. It can save us money. It's not going to cost us anything up front, Tina, correct?
No, it would just change the resolution section 3 from a runoff election to determine the tie by lot. And I don't know, if things get great again in a few years, you can always change it, because it does go back to city council every time.
Okay, thank you. So people didn't understand how it worked. Okay, that explains a lot and really helps.
Mike, I'm also confused on that. The reason I said there is no change, but if there is a change to save the money, then I'm favor on that. So if other council members have no discussion, I would like to, if anybody have the motion on that.
I'd make a motion that we amend section 3 to determine runoff elections by lot.
Second.
Okay, the motion by Council Member Campion, second by Council Member Lamson. Tina, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano?
Hi.
Can I just clarify that, is the motion just to change section 3, or is the motion to change section 3 and adopt the resolution?
And adopt the resolution. You didn't hear that part?
I didn't hear that part. Sorry.
Okay.
Adopt.
Okay,
I'm sorry. And to adopt.
no problem.
Okay.
But to clarify, the motion is to adopt the resolution with the change in section 3 to be a runoff, that if there's a tie, it would be determined by lot.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's acceptable to the second as well? Yes, okay.
Okay, just to clarify, the first was Campion, seconded by Lamson?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Vice Mayor Lozano,
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Sandu.
Aye. Motion carry with 5-0. Next agenda item K, comment by staff. I would like to ask Mr. Hagland and his staff any comment on that.
Okay, I had a couple items that I just wanted to finish up, and then I'll go around to all the staff members. And so one of the things, since we had to, or as a result of the 4-tier approach in California and the fact that large gatherings are very unlikely to be allowed this summer. As the council's aware, we canceled the Independence Day celebration because of the large crowds that it attracts. But staff has been working, and by staff I mean Parks and Recreation, our Parks and Rec director, and our Jackie Garcia, our market manager and promotions individual, been working on a substitute community event that could be held as a replacement event for this year in 2020 in lieu of the Independence Day celebration. And I wanted to give the council a little bit of information about that and just how it would adhere to it. And it would be an event to honor heroes in and around our community. It's called Light for Heroes, and it's a dynamic display of with unique attributes, tributing first responders, the military, healthcare workers, and local heroes to us like Kevin Ton. The event would be held on the market grounds, and it would provide a continuity in the celebration that we seek to engage in with police and fire, and of course the community heroes that I just mentioned. The program would be on the market grounds, and it would be a drive-through light show, and there would be highlighting the heroes in ways using lights and silhouettes and photo shows. Participants would enter only by vehicle, and it would they'd come in one way and exit out another. And it would be an event that we could operate for the community. Essentially, you may have seen this sort of thing. Oftentimes you see it at Christmas time, where they have these light shows and you go in, you listen to your radio, you listen to music on your radio, or the effects of the light show. And so that's an event that staff is working on in order to be able to provide it to the community. It would be free of charge. Again, recognizing our local heroes during a period of challenge in our own community. And so that's something that they're, as I said, working to put together. Another item that they have been working to get organized and ensure that it can happen, and this is actually an approved activity. It's an essential activity under the current health orders issued by the state and the county, but it's a certified farmers market. And so they've been able to put the final touches on that. It will operate on Fridays between June 5th and September 25th. And it will operate in Old Town along the 4th Street Promenade. And it is being co-sponsored by the San Joaquin Certified Farmers Market. And so this is all certified produce and the like, and it provides yet another opportunity for members of our community to be able to get some, obviously some foodstuffs, but also then highlight Old Town, be in Old Town where this will be held on Friday nights. The hours, I think, are 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays, June 5th to September 25th. And then finally, tomorrow, appearing on council doorsteps, will be the proposed budget for FY 21 and 22. We're delivering it to you in a clean copy of in a binder. It's been carefully put together for you, and then that will be the document that we use next Tuesday at our budget workshop. The budget will also be placed on the website in PDF format. So it's a long document. It has a transmittal letter associated with it, attached to it. That transmittal letter essentially walks the council through what we've done in setting up the next 2-year budget. And not to be a spoiler, but it is a balanced budget for each of the next 2 years. However, as you can imagine, COVID-19 is playing a big effect on that budget and our ability to balance the budget. So, and that's fully described. What we've done to accommodate for COVID-19 is fully described in the transmittal message itself. And with that, I can go around and ask staff if they have any further comments, any further from Public Works, Mike.
Please.
What, did the mayor say something?
Do you have any comments?
No, I don't have a comment. I just asked you to go ahead. Ask the
okay.
on the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just basically wanted to quickly draw everyone's attention that this week is the 60th annual National Public Works Week. Certainly I'm proud to represent our staff and want to recognize them for their service and dedication in maintaining the various infrastructure that we all rely on daily. It's through their dedicated efforts that our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, public buildings, and other infrastructure are built and maintained. and their contributions to protect our health, safety, and quality of life are immeasurably appreciated. Thank you.
Chris Arias, any comments from community development?
No comment tonight. Thank you.
Armando from Public Work, or excuse me, from Parks and Rec.
No, but I'd be glad to answer any questions council has once we get around to council comments regarding these two events.
Sure. Stephanie Van Stein, any comments?
No comments this evening.
No comments. Chief Sockman.
The only comment I have is on this video, I look like a ghost. The glow. I don't know what's going on with the lighting, but other than that, no. It's been a great couple of weeks, and thank you, Galt, for all of your support.
Okay. Amy Mendez, any comments?
I just appreciate everybody's support tonight for the item on the TOT tax suspension, and hopefully we can find some other programs. We have an item next week for CDBG, and I've been working with Mike Selling on trying to determine ways that we can use community development block grant funding for economic development programs instead of putting it into our traditional kind of public works avenues. So hopefully that first meeting in June, we can kind of talk about that. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. And any comments from the city attorney?
Glad to be here. Nice to see all of you, but no other comments.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Haglund. Thank you for your staff. Next agenda item is council comment. Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Again, SACOG meeting on Thursday, I'll report back out on that. I just wanted to send some kudos over to the departments and the workers who process permits, construction permits. I had an opportunity to communicate with a local contractor who was very pleased with how quick and painless the process was to get a permit pulled, even during the COVID-19 times. And it wasn't a huge building permit. It was just a add-on to a structure. So kudos to all those. I think Mike and Chris probably have a little piece of each of that, and just wanted to make sure that you knew that people were out there and happy with that process. And again, the voice of one, but it isn't often that we get unsolicited praise, and so I thought that was important to bring out. Again, and then I guess lastly, I appreciate Parks and Recreation and who have been obviously innovative during this time and are trying to come up with some alternatives to programming that we as a community anticipated, but now putting something together to help build the community back, and so appreciate your work on that, Armando, and your staff. So other than that, again, I just implore the community to take care of yourselves and each other, and continued patience. I know there's been a couple of times in some parking lots of retail establishments that people have been unhappy with each other, and just again implore you to take a deep breath, get in your car, and drive away. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Council Member Campion.
No comments tonight. Thank you.
Council Member Lampson.
No comments, thank you.
Council Member Farmer.
Yeah, I have a few things. So first off, regarding the IDC, I just want to make it known that I was a little bit disappointed that the council didn't have a lot of discussion with the IDC. I knew that was a decision coming that we were going to discuss, but I would have liked to have seen it have an open discussion to talk about options, all alternatives we could have done to make the event a little different before we were so quick to just stop it. I mean, I know that's what the governor said, but again, I just, was kind of blindsided by that. I'm happy to see that, Parks and Rec staff, I know Armando reached out to me and let me know that he's and Jackie and the staff are working on and all, some other options. But I would like to ask Armando, so this alternate celebration you're talking about, what day would that take place on?
So right now we have it planned for June 27th, the Saturday before 4th of July. We're looking at trying to anticipate where we're going to be on, in a month from now, whether we're still in the same place where we're still sheltering at home or we're open 100%, people can go wherever they want. If people are able to go where they want to go, they're going to get out of town for that week, that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. So we felt that having it the week prior was probably the best thing. We're also working on some things. This is what's confirmed so far, what we've talked about. We're also working on some things that'll take place over the holiday weekend. So I don't have that solidly in place yet. Once I do, I'll bring it back to council to let you know exactly what it is. And then, so right now it's just for the 27th.
Okay. Because I like the idea. I mean, like I said, I've already expressed my disappointment with the event. I'm sure a lot of people are crushed in the community. But what I want to be clear on is that this event is, I just, me personally, I just want to make sure this wasn't going to take place on the 4th. I don't want to see this event replace the 4th of July. I mean, 4th of July is a celebration of, the independence of our country. And nothing against first responders and all the people that have, that we would be celebrating with a different event that our military personnel and all that. But I just don't want to, blur the line there between what 4th of July is, because people are very, adamant about celebrating their independence. And this is, a great American holiday. And so I want people to be allowed to do that, people to still celebrate that celebration in whatever means they plan on still doing that and not have that conflict with the event that you guys are trying to put on. So I'm glad to hear that's on a different weekend. So that was one thing. The other thing is, I would like to ask that for one, is it possible, Tom, if we could get either maybe Amy Mendez or I don't know who would be the more appropriate person, I would like someone to look into, maybe contact the county on the behalf of, the gym we have, Fitness Pro, is the only fitness facility we have in town that's like that. I was doing some quick math with what Pete said about the 250 square feet. If they have 17,000 square feet, and you're allowed to have, these small studios are allowed to have one person per 250, they could essentially have 68 people in that facility if they were to do it right. I think that we should, step up and try to contact and say, we only have one facility like this. It's important. It's an important facility to our community. I know it's, not in your phase 2B, it's in phase 3 or whatever, but if they can make some kind of means to accommodate and maybe change their categorization into a fitness studio and maybe morph into that to be able to open, I think we should allow them to do that. I think that we should work with the county and try to work with the business owner and see if we can make something happen on that. I think we should do that for them. We should
and we can contact the county on their behalf, but just to be clear in the messaging and in the words we use, the city has no ability to say it's okay. That's a false narrative. And so what we want to do is advocate on behalf of our businesses, but within the bounds of the law. And so I wouldn't want anyone to walk away with the impression after any of the conversation that we've had tonight that somehow, some way, the city has some authority here. Unfortunately, we don't. If we did, we might be deciding things differently. But we don't. And so can we advocate on behalf of Fitness Pro? Absolutely we can. And we will contact County Health in the morning.
Which leads me to my next thing, since you mentioned it. Um, you know, I understand what you're saying, and I understand where it comes from, Tom. When you say, your role as city manager is to advise certain things, and you say we have no authority. But this, whether or not people have authority to do things is such a gray area right now with cities and counties all over. We see people doing all sorts of things. We had 55, had 24 comments of people asking us to do something. We had a brief discussion about it. We all went around and said, "Oh yeah, we feel sympathetic to you. We're sorry, and it's just too bad." Blah blah blah, and then we did nothing. We didn't decide to try to, do something further. We didn't decide to bring this back for talk about what sort of action can we get creative. What can we do? We didn't talk about any of that, and here we are, just making our little comments around the end of the meeting like nothing happened, and we're not doing nothing. And I'm not going to go home tonight with that just being the end of it. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that another.
John, what exactly do you propose? I mean, you have all these ethereal things to say, but you have nothing concrete. You really don't. You
Mr.
don't.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, but I have the floor. I'm talking.
I'm not making sense. I'm not making any sense at all, Sean.
Mr. Mayor.
Council Member Campion, can you give him a chance, and when your turn came in?
Sure.
You'll get your turn to speak. Thank you. I think we need to be looking at all options. We need to have our city attorney look and see what can be done. I would be open to anything with, look, I actually did some looking around between, during the meeting. I actually reached out to the city of Atwater. I have the resolution that they passed. It's very interesting the way it reads. I think we deserve to look at it. I think we need to be looking at things like a chess game. What is our next move? If we're still sitting in neutral in phase 2B in 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, we need to be able to do something for our businesses. The choice is not do nothing. We can't just do nothing. I refuse to accept that. You can accept that, Kurt, but I think we need to be creative and think of what can we do. It could be anything from, what somebody suggested. Maybe our law enforcement should be maybe just focusing on, the ridiculous policy of people being released from prison earlier or from jail earlier on zero bond and all that. I don't know that our law enforcement has the resources to be out policing the businesses. I mean, that's not our job to do that. We need to be advocating heavily. If we're being told, if I'm being told that we can't do anything legally, then we need to be doing something. If we can't break the rule, we need to be bending it as far as we can bend it and still be within our means. And that's what I like to see happen. I'm not going to just, talk about this every meeting about, oh, it's just too bad about this business and it's just too bad. These people, we represent them. If they can't come to us and have us do something for them, then who do they have? Who else do they have? We're it. We're elected to represent them. People are not going to settle for, sorry, we can't do anything for you. That's not a legitimate answer. So I propose, this is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that staff and the city manager look into viable options, reach out to cities such as Atwater and Clovis and Coalinga and even Yuba and Placer County, the things they did, and see what worked for them, what didn't, and consistently continue advocating on behalf of our businesses. And what I mean advocating is daily, talking to the county, talking to county health, talking to Supervisor Natoli and our other supervisors. We have to keep squeaking, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil. We can't just sit back and roll over. Okay, so that's my comment on that. You go ahead if you can want to make a rebuttal.
To your point, I've talked to Randy, and my first comments to him were, you need to contact the facility in Elk Grove and find out how they did that, and you need to get a copy of that plan. So that's number one. He needs to start and help himself. And I think that's where it starts. I agree with you to the extent that the city works and helps with these people within the confines of the law. But what you were advocating sounded like it was something different. As long as it's within the confines of the law, I have no problem.
What laws are these people breaking?
I'm talking about the orders that were issued by the state.
I'm asking you.
And those which are issued by the county. Those I would not support the city's staff looking for alternatives which are essentially illegal.
I'm not asking anybody to do anything illegal. I want you to clarify legal for me.
Anything that is outside, anything that is within the bounds of those regulations established by the county health department as well as the state of California.
There's multiple lawsuits going right now for looking.
Those are lawsuits, Sean. Again, those are lawsuits. Those are not that's not a law. So the second point I'd like to make, and I take great umbrance, you'd wish to define how 4th of July is defined. I don't think it's up to you. I think it's up to the citizens of this community. And if they choose to, on a Saturday, which is July 4th, to go to that event, which the city is sponsoring, and that is how they wish to spend their 4th of July, I think they should be able to. I don't think we have or should be making that decision to exclude that from them. I found that wrong.
You really like wrong is what
that is what they, that is to me. If that's the way they wish to celebrate it, why not? Why not, Sean? Why would you take that away from them?
Because we've took the IDC.
Well, I think at this point we need to make a vote or schedule this for a vote for council.
We're still discussing this. This is an open discussion. You don't get last word. I'm not done talking about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Campion. What I'm getting at here is that we took the IDC festival, one of the biggest celebrations, and the celebration of the independence of our country. People have gone through so much right now, and then they just say, oh, and by the way, you can't celebrate your independence. Can't celebrate the American holiday.
Never said that.
We've yanked that from under them and said, well, you can't do that, but we're going to put this other thing in that we can do, which is great that we're trying to do something else. But what we should be doing is maybe talking about how we could still have the Kevin Ton run in a different format. There was never even a discussion about how we could still have that and practice social distancing and all the things we could do. I don't think it would be that hard, but that's not even a discussion right now. That's just off the table, and we're looking at something else. So all I'm saying is great. We're going to do this other event. It's going to be a great event, I'm sure, and it's going to celebrate our military and our first responders and nurses and everybody else that's done great things for our community, and that's awesome. But what I don't want to do is act like we're trying to replace the 4th of July celebration. That's the end of what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense to you?
I don't think it's a replacement. It was a matter that a financial decision had to be made at a time when it came to making a decision whether we're going to go ahead with the IDC or not. And it still doesn't look like that would even be feasible today, based on what the existing regulations are. So I think it was the right decision.
But
whether it's a popular decision or not, Sean, is another thing. And again, if
was it a decision by you? Did you have input on that decision, Kurt? Were you asked?
Sean, this council could have brought that forward. Sean, you could have brought it forward to ask for a vote to have it reversed, couldn't you?
Both council members.
So by non-action, you agreed with it.
Both council members, I have a question. If we are, we are running a council meeting, please do not disturb each other. Let speak one person and answer the other person. And especially we are debating, whatever we're debating, let's talk with the city manager, and certainly within 1 or 2 days, or we can come back and make some decision and bring to the council.
That sounds fine.
Council member Farmer, you have Councilman Farmer.
All I'm simply saying is that I wish we would have had time, input, open discussion. It would have been an agenda item formally that we could have discussed canceling the IDC, and in lieu of that, doing something different. There was ideas that were being floated around. We never had a chance to even discuss them. There's been other cities that are doing things that I think are great ideas that would have conformed with the shelter-in-place orders should they still be in place by July 4th. But we weren't even allowed to discuss that. So I don't want to bring it back and discuss it more. It's been done deal. I don't want to waste staff time revisiting and trying to figure out. What it's done is done. I'm simply stating for the record that I wish we would have talked about it. On another note, before we're done, I just want to say that I'm never suggesting doing anything illegal, okay? I'm suggesting advocating for our business in the strongest manner possible and not just saying, well, we can't do anything and that's all we can do and we're just going to do nothing. And don't sit there and say we're going to write another letter and we're going to do this and that. It's just not strong enough. And if you don't agree with that, that's your choice, Kurt. We agree to disagree. I'm just simply stating what I want. Don't come at me and accuse me of wanting to do anything illegal or me wanting to do something, because that's not what I'm insinuating. So I'm sorry you interpreted it wrong. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Oh.
All right. Any other council member, any other comment?
I'd like to be able to respond to that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
In that I believe that the staff has done an outstanding job in advocating for this community and the businesses. And to suggest anything less, I think is wrong.
Duly noted.
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may,
Vice Mayor Lozano.
it'll be very short. I've been advocating, and we brought it back last meeting with very little council discussion about conduct. And I am extremely disappointed in the conduct of our council tonight under comments by city council members and future agenda items. I think we went way off base. I think we were potentially in the area of violation of the Brown Act by having continued discussion about items. I would hope that this does not reoccur, and I would like the city manager to on the first meeting in June the same item that we had, and I'll be prepared to present a proposal at that meeting regarding conduct of council and committee members. I am again extremely disappointed. This is not how professionals act, and I hope I don't see it again. That's all I have to say, and I am done.
And so I'd just like to ask if, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to ask if there's a consensus of the council to bring that item back.
Actually, let me put this way, because actually yes, we will bring more, but next to we have a lot of other important things to bring to the council. So we will bring that, and Vice Mayor Lozano already asked us, so we can bring that discussion. We will discuss and bring that in soon.
Well, I was just wondering if there was at least a consensus of the council, since that's typically how we do that. And if there is, then absolutely it'll okay. Yes, very good. I'm seeing enough head nods now. Thank you.
Sure.
Everybody done but the comments. I can make a few comments. On this July celebration. I get a lot of comment from the public. It's very hard to cancel that event. It never was done before, but it's also COVID-19 was never done before, and it was very hard decision. And I will, with the staff, I certainly like to staff what other options we can do. They're doing like Armando mentioned, but if we can open some other option to what we can do on the same day. There is some other cities doing like in Elk Grove, there's some other city doing. Let's more review and more research and with the city manager, and let's bring back more option what we can do to replace that event. The other comment, I really appreciate the public comment, because if there is a more public comment, that means we get more feedback what our citizen wants. I also like to thank you for the staff doing a very great job, whatever we need to do during this COVID-19. And thank you for all the staff. Thank you for everybody. And if anybody have any question, any discussion from the council, if it's not, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. We adjourn the meeting.